Ah. Hi guys. How you doing? What's up? I guess I will address the stream title off rip. Why are we reacting to Prison of Plastic on a Monday, not a Friday? Well, a couple of reasons. One, I still can't get Minecraft to work on the PC. I don't know what's up with that. Two, I didn't stream on Friday because I was hanging out with friends, which I don't regret. Sorry, not sorry. I was hanging out with friends that I haven't seen in like a year. Actually, probably more than that. It's been a while. It was really nice to hang out with them. I was very happy about that. So that's what I was doing. And I figured I might as well make up for that with today's stream. There you go. Making sure that everything is set up as always. Wonderful, perfect. We're good. Great. So today we're gonna be finishing Prison of Plastic, the audiobook. It was pretty nice when we started watching it before. Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna waste too much time. I figure we'll just jump into it. By the way, if I'm a little groggy, if I'm a little like off, I seem, it's because of multiple reasons. Tired, because I'm still trying to fix my sleep schedule. It is getting better, and also I think I like hurt my back while exercising today. It really hurts. I feel very like flexible, but it hurts. Anyway, let's turn off that music and let's like actually get into this. YouTube intro. Blah, 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 blah. Hello YouTube, welcome back to our Hello YouTube, welcome back to our Prison in Plastic reaction. Today we're going to be finishing the Prison of Plastic. We did the prologues in the previous stream, and now this time we're watching it today and finishing the last couple of parts. I'm excited. I really like the vibe of the audiobook so far. Like the way everything was set up. It's very nice. Yeah. So let's just boom over here. Let's jump into it.
Epithet erased. Prison of Plastic.
Yeah.
By Brendan Blaber.
Chapter 1.
Is Brendan Blaber Jello Apocalypse? Are they the ones who... Because I always assume Jello Apocalypse, the channel, by the way, is the one who, like, wrote all of this stuff. Well, I would assume because it's their channel. But then again, considering, like, the scale of the project, I guess possibly not. I don't know.
Fish out of water.
All right.
With their encounter in the alleyway behind them, the three girls dusted themselves off, transferred Molly's homework assignments into her backpack, and set off for their original destination, the beach.
Oh, that's nice. I'm sorry. Immediately you got into, like, the little, like, music. I really like it. Okay, so finally we're back with Molly and friends. Her very interesting group of friends.
As Molly's best friends, Trixie and Phoenica had assigned themselves two very important best friend jobs.
Ooh.
The first was to deliver her daily schoolwork to her. The second was to make what little free time Molly did have as fun as possible. On days where Molly wasn't at school, the other two would spend recess brainstorming places to go and things to do.
Oh, that's really sweet, but it's also very sad because they know like how little time Molly gets to just be a kid, so they're like, no, we will maximize the fun that you have. Also, I guess they deliver her homework, and that's how she like keeps up with the grades despite only going on like B days or A days or whatever, and like not going to school the other half of the time. I still can't believe that she's just allowed to do that. That her father managed to convince the school to let her do that. Wild.
Today was Trixie's suggestion. Last night there had been a huge storm out over the ocean, and the currents had washed a bunch of interesting things up onto the beach, including a bunch of sea creatures called Dunscap nudibranchs. Dunscaps for short. They were squiggly little critters that looked like a snail without its shell on, squishy and star-shaped with a blue and white rim. Because they...
I was about to say a slug, but that's an interesting description. I'm like trying to visualize that in my head, and it's just like,
had no shells, the nudibranchs would scuttle around the seafloor and pick up any wayward object that they could find to wear as a protective hat.
Ooh.
Unfortunately, the nudibranchs were blind, so they didn't have much of a fashion sense.
No.
Dunscaps could be found wearing anything from a plastic cup to an entire pool noodle on their head. The animal was only about the size of a clementine, but they had surprisingly strong suction cups and could carry hats many times their own size and weight.
Interesting. Very neat lore, I guess. That makes me think of like hermit crabs. Hermit crabs are the ones who like they need to get shells for themselves, right? I mean, it sounds like they also struggle from the same issue that hermit crabs do, which is that because of pollution, they will put on like items that are not suited to be shells, that are like they're just not strong enough for them. But then again, I guess there's probably also hermit crabs that have like metal shells. I know I did a thing, the YouTuber made metal shells for crabs, which, based off of what the comments have said, is gonna continue down that hermit line, like family's line for a while.
The problem was that they weren't very good swimmers, which meant that their heavy hats would often send them tumbling through the currents. If a Dunscap washed up on the shore, it might be too top-heavy to squiggle its way back into the sea, hence their somewhat insulting name. It was common courtesy for beachgoers to...
So they are kind of dunces, huh?
...pick up any Dunscaps they saw trapped in the sand and toss them back into the water. The morning crowd had swept through and recovered most of them, but new Dunscaps were washing up all the time. The beach was littered with flotsam and jetsam. If a person squinted, they could see some of them wiggling every now and then.
Flotsam and jetsam. What is that, a color? What does that mean?
The telltale sign of a nudibranch's hat. Trixie put one floppy-sleeved hand over her single visible eye and scanned the beach like a little pink periscope.
Shake a leg, troops,
she said.
We're on nudie duty. Until we get rid of these nudibranchs, this is a nudie beach.
Trixie delivered with a little goblin smile.
Okay. She is kind of a little goblin, huh? Which is wild considering we just had such a wild experience a moment before in the prologue, which you may not remember, it's been a while. Where she was acting all like villainous so she can scare away the mugger, and then immediately broke down into tears, reasonably, because of how scary the whole event was.
Renica stared at her with a big, offended, open-mouthed codfish expression as though Trixie had just told the dirtiest joke in the world, but Molly snickered a little. Victory. Trixie's goblin smile promoted itself to a hobgoblin smile. Molly deserved to laugh. She'd had a rough week.
Yes, the monster evolutionary tree. The smile will then upgrade to an ogre smile.
A few days ago, their school had
Or
a
an
field
orc
trip
smile.
to the Sweet Jazz Museum. It was mostly super boring, especially because the trio had all been assigned to different tour groups. Molly's dad was chaperoning her tour group, and apparently, after the tour ended, he had forgotten her at the museum somehow. Afterwards, a bunch...
Okay, I'm glad other people are, like, baffled by that. I feel like if you're in the group with your parent, the parent would pay more attention to be making sure that, oh yeah, my kid, who's also here, goes with us. Nope. No focus. Although, to be fair, well, to be unfair, he probably wasn't paying attention at all to anyone.
A bunch of people broke into the museum. It was a big story on the news, even. Molly didn't know because her family didn't own a TV, but everybody at school certainly did. They swarmed her with questions the minute she walked through the door.
What were the bad guys like? Did they have any epithets? Did anything explode?
Yes. Nice. Wait, no. In order. Nice. Yes. Yes, I think.
Molly was real shy and hated being the center of attention, but she mentioned that the bad guys hadn't really seemed all that bad in the end. She even said that she'd helped the lady who tried to steal her powers before they took her to jail. Trixie thought that was crazy. Trixie thought that lady sounded like a jerk, and Molly should have punched her.
It probably would have really hurt her if you did that, considering her epithet is fragile. Could a kid... Actually, yeah, probably. If their power affects herself, then a kid probably could actually hurt her by touching... I'm sorry, I just don't remember her name. The person with the fragile epithet.
That was Molly's problem. She took way too much guff. If Molly were a doll, she'd be fluff and stuffed with guff. Trixie had never been in a fight, but she never took
Guff.
any guff. She was a verified no guff taker, 100% allergic to guff. Yes, sirree, Bob.
I believe you, Trixie. What is guff? Please.
Stayed inside during recess that day to avoid the questions from the rest of her class, but she told Trixie and Feeney most of what happened, mostly about how she had teamed up with a bonsai blaster who helped her. Molly described him as a nice guy once he simmered down. She wouldn't give
Once he wasn't all soup mode, I guess.
his name or epithet, though. She just called him boss. Trixie thought that keeping his identity on the down low was the right move. Snitches get stitches. Feeney was much more interested in the other boy who had helped Molly. Some kind of kid doctor who could make sheep. Feeney
Yes. The one who is now her friend. I have forgotten all of their names. 2 weeks pass and all the characters are gone from my mind. My goodness.
Finica was obsessed with sheep, maybe even more so than Molly was with bears. After Molly told Finica about the sheep boy, she purchased a giant bedazzled binder and immediately began planning their wedding inside of it.
Whoa.
This was not the first time she had done this.
I wonder how many wedding plans she has, like, built. At least she's thorough, you know?
Strangely, being assaulted at a museum wasn't the low point of Molly's week. She was actually in high spirits until a few days later when her stupid older sister said something stupid again and made her cry. Feeney and...
Okay. The timeline of events of the prologue are now coming together. So, this is in the future of... Or at least a couple days after where we had the whole, like, very confusing at first, like, fantasy bubble thing that Molly's sister can make, where she was, like, fighting a dragon, which is interesting.
Trixie were up all night consoling her through texts. Molly's sister was the worst, and they hated her terribly. Even Finica, who liked almost everybody, was curt with her. But none of that mattered right now. Trixie brought some secret weapons to the beach today, and they were sure to brighten Molly's spirits. She produced them from her scrappy green backpack.
What are these items?
Here's the score.
Trixie scrambled.
We're gonna chuck some critters back into the sea. And I brought some special prizes for the...
Can you just throw these guys? Is that okay? I mean, to be fair, I'm sure that they're durable enough. They could take a little toss. As long as you're not, like, pelting them into the water. Like
Best critter chucker.
She held the prizes in the air.
First up, whoever finds the critter with the weirdest or funniest thing stuck to its back gets this candy-flavored lip balm.
Whoa.
Oohed and clapped. Trixie had not told her about the prize idea, so this was a surprise for her as well.
What flavor?
Asked Molly.
Apple cinnamon.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Is it? I don't think I've ever used lip balm. Well, yeah, no. Chopstick. Yeah. Is that the same thing? Probably not. It would have a similar name if so. But I mean, it sounds good, I guess.
Trixie mentally pumped her fist. She knew apple cinnamon was Molly's favorite. Well, the second favorite. The corner store didn't sell raisin lip balm. They weren't trying to murder children with gross...
Come on, raisin's pretty good. I actually, over the years, I've developed a fond affinity for raisins. They're actually pretty sweet. They're just like a good little... They're not as sweet as like just like pure sugar. But some of them can get very like sweet. So they're just like a nice little snack to like munch on.
Grown-up flavors. Molly was all about the grown-up flavors though. Most of her dad's pantry was candy. Fun when you go over to visit. Not fun to have every night for dinner. Trixie held up her second prize, which she personally thought was the better of the two.
Can they just... Does her dad just eat candy? That can't be healthy. Then again, he seems to have like... They have like stars in their hair, so maybe biology is a little different. Maybe you can live off of candy in their world. It's just not good for you.
We also have this. For the person who saves the most critters, a special top-of-the-line potion.
Oh.
Trixie lifted up a plastic sports
Okay.
drink bottle. The label had been ripped off and replaced with a piece of duct tape that had a skull and crossbones drawn on in silver permanent marker. Something
Is it just a sports drink, or
purple and opaque swirled around inside and
No.
oozed out from
it is not just a... Okay, potions exist. Write that down, guys. Keep that lore going. But also, I feel like if it's a, like, skull and crossbones, isn't that usually an indication that the potion is, like, deadly?
underneath the cap. Phoenica frowned.
Is that another one of those icky things that you and Rex concoct in your kitchen?
Trixie nodded proudly. She and her twin brother would take random stuff from their kitchen cabinets and mix it with bugs and dirt and junk from behind their house to brew different potions. Results were mixed.
Oh boy. Okay. I'll be honest. I don't quite want the potion now. Also, okay. She has a twin brother. Rex. I have a twin as well. Wow. Just like me, for real, for real.
Is this one also made of perfume and ketchup? No, that was a potion of Stinky.
Trixie put her hands on her hips proudly.
I mean, yeah. Those are some pretty strong smells.
That's totally different. For that recipe, you gather up a bunch of things that smell good and then stir it backwards. That takes all the good-smelling magic and turns it into bad-smelling magic.
How do you stir something backwards?
Molly asked.
You hold the spoon upside down.
Trixie demonstrated with an invisible stir. Phoenica put
Huh? Listen, it's magic. It follows whatever rules they want. And you know, in a lot of things, if you believe it works, then it works, and that's how the magic works. Maybe not here. I'll be honest. I feel like she's just making stuff up, Trixie here. I don't think thinking about it, I feel like making potions when you're a kid is like a very common thing, but I don't think I've ever done that. Like, just mixed up a bunch of stuff to make like a potion. I probably would have made mustard gas by accident if I did, which is a real concern that could happen.
put her hands on her hips.
I fail to see how ketchup qualifies as good smelling. Ketchup smells good.
Trixie said matter-of-factly, as though it was the most obvious thing in the world.
Okay.
We'll agree to disagree. I don't think it smells bad, but I would not describe it as a good smell.
Molly tapped the bottle.
So what's in this potion?
Grape jelly, lemonade, pine needles, and hot sauce.
Trixie held the potion aloft like she had just picked it up in a video game.
Do. Honestly, it sounds kind of good so far. This sounds like the kind of thing that my mom would have made. No offense to her. It's just like sometimes she makes some weird concoctions, which end up being pretty good. I don't know. Even the pine needles and hot sauce. I'm like half Mexican, and I know a lot of people who will put hot sauce on like everything. Ice cream, candy. It enhances the flavor.
The juices inside wobbled uncomfortably and it looked ready to spill at any second.
Oh boy.
Oh, and ladybug blood.
Phoenica let
I take back everything I said.
out a horrified gasp.
You squished a bunch of poor little ladybugs?
No, you just poke them and they squirt blood on you. That isn't blood.
Feeny asserted.
Yes it is.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is. No.
What? Do ladybugs do that? Do they squirt blood at you? I mean, I guess that's not the weirdest thing. There's like a lizard or gecko or whatever that also like squirts blood through its like from its eyes at you. And then there's that one bug which like shoots chemical fire at you. Nature's wild. Fictional nature only gets wilder.
No, it isn't. Oh yeah?
Trixie crossed her sleeves.
Uh-oh.
Well then, Miss Ladybug expert, what is it?
Feeny froze. She quickly searched her brain for what she thought it might be and seemed embarrassed by what she found. She was silent for a moment. Then, in an extremely small voice, as if she were confessing a deep, dark secret, she said,
Pee.
Trixie,
Oh. Is it? Is it actually? Again, that's not that weird, I would imagine, in the insectoid kingdom.
burst out laughing.
They have a lot of very interesting defenses there.
No fair!
Feeny flailed.
You tricked me into saying a swear!
Pee isn't a
Trixie wheezed.
Yes, it is! You tricked me into saying the P word!
Bro. She's so innocent. She's like crazy innocent. I guess that's what happens when you're like as rich as she seems to be. It's just pee. It's alright, man. It's not like you're saying piss or anything. Which, I mean, still isn't a curse word, but it's a little more vulgar, I guess.
Can't censor the word pee by calling it the P word. You're literally saying pee.
The two of them
True.
tussled uselessly like kittens while Molly quickly did an internet search on her phone in the background.
Oh, what? It is ladybug blood.
The other
Ooh.
two gathered around her phone to confirm. It was true. There were real science articles from real scientist types calling the gross orangey stuff that ladybugs squirt out blood. Apparently they use it to protect from predators.
They got orange blood. I mean, how many times can they do that before they just die from the lack of blood? How much do insects need blood, actually? I mean, I assume if they have it, they need it, but... More topics to research later. Thank you, Molly, for Googling it, or whatever.
That's a little
Whatever fantasy version you guys have of Google.
weird.
Said Molly.
That's a lot of weird.
Said Feeny.
Axolotl weird.
Said Trixie.
So,
Molly cocked her head.
what does your lady blood potion do?
Oh, it's a potion of go away. If you throw it at someone, they leave you alone.
Molly and Feeny exchanged a glance.
It works.
Trixie assured.
I believe you, Trixie. I'm sure it does work.
We tested.
I want the lip balm.
Molly pointed.
Me too.
Said Feeny.
Wow, okay. Well, if you guys want to be Rudy Patooties about it, that's fine. More for me. Anyways, the person who finds the weirdest dunce cap nudie hat gets the lip balm. Game starts in...
Alright.
3, 2, 1, go!
Trixie's.
So the rewards have flipped. I get is the potion... Also, this potion's definitely going to come up later. The potion will go away. They're going to throw it at somebody at some point, and they will go away. Which I guess, again, means that it works.
Bat the countdown out in one breath and sprinted off onto the beach, digging for nudibranchs and immediately chucking them back into the
Oh
sea.
gosh.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hold on! No fair!
Feeny trotted after her and Molly followed behind. Trixie zipped between beach junk a few steps ahead
I love like the banjo in the back. It's great.
of them, determined to win her own potion back. The other two girls were only interested in the lip balm, so they took a much gentler approach. They would separate to hunt for individual dunce caps. Then, once each of them had found an interesting one, they would compare their nudibranchs and decide whether or not the thing on its head qualified as funny or weird. If it qualified as funny, then they would snap a photo as proof before gently placing it back in the water. Phoenica was currently in the lead after finding a piece of sea glass that had 2 nudibranchs stuck on either side of it that would try to scuttle away whether it was right side up or upside down.
That's pretty good. Also, I guess if they're blind, I feel like that would happen a lot where different like nudie branches will like attach to the same item, which would cause a lot of problems if they can't like sense each other in some way, or like, I don't know, no pheromones, no kind of things to know that another one is nearby. Do animals in the water use pheromones very much? I imagine not, because they get lost in the water. But then again, sharks can smell blood from like miles and miles away, so maybe. I don't know. Very cool nudie branches though.
After securing a safe lead in the nudibranch count, Trixie looped back in to join the others and they combed the beach as a trio. Trixie hadn't found any funny nudibranchs, but she did bring back a collection of tiny multicolored starfish. She held them in front of her head like they were hair ornaments.
Hey, look at me. I'm Molly.
Yeah, I mean, I feel a pretty easy cosplay. Just put stars in your hair and you're Molly now.
Molly snickered and put her hands up the same way Trixie did.
Me too.
It was extremely dumb and extraordinarily unfunny, so of course they both laughed way too hard at it.
Hey, it was pretty funny actually. I don't know about what the narrator's saying here.
The girls split up again in search of a new round of nudibranchs. Trixie and Feeny paired off, and almost immediately they found a very silly nudibranch that was stuck in the opening of a beer bottle.
Oh.
It actually sort of looked like a squiggly bottle cap. They decided that this qualified as funny. Feeny took a picture of it on her phone as proof, and they spent a few minutes trying to get the little guy unstuck so they could return him to the sea.
Can you do that? I mean, it sounds like they're really, like, strong attachments. But then again, there's a limit to strength based on size, so they could probably pull it off.
Just after they put him back in the water, Molly called out to them.
Guys?
Did you find something weird?
Trixie called back.
Kinda.
Trixie and Feeny trotted over, excited to
Wait a
see
moment.
what Molly had found. Molly had found a dead body.
Hey, kids, want to see a dead body? Womp womp.
Or at least, that's what it appeared to be. The man was lying face down in the sand.
Oh, he's probably fine. Just drunk or something.
The most noticeable thing about the body...
Or, no, considering it's Epithet erased, probably something considerably weirder than being drunk has resulted in him being here.
aside from it appearing dead, was its bizarre hair. It was a deep neon purple with bright red strands coming out from a part in the top like seaweed, almost as though some sort of poisonous deep sea creature was nestling on its head.
Are you sure he's dead?
Phoenica shivered. Molly fiddled her boots together.
I don't know.
Poke him with a stick. That's how you know.
Well, did you ask?
Oh, it's the beach. I get. Well, no, there are trees. You could find a stick, I'm sure.
Molly looked down at the body.
He didn't say.
Trixie smiled.
I call the brain.
What are you gonna use the brain for? Probably a potion of smarts, possibly.
Phoenica whipped out her phone so fast that it almost flew into the water.
Oh,
Trixie
careful.
put her sweater flipper on Feeny's shoulder.
Hang on.
Why?
We should see if he has any stuff first. Like a wallet. Or a brain.
Just gonna rob this. Just do some grave robbing. Ah, well, if he's not in a grave, is it really grave robbing? It's just proper looting at that point.
Trixie ignored Feeny's good-natured protests and leaned down to inspect the corpse. She picked up a nearby stick and lifted up the edge of the body to inspect it like a mechanic checking under a car. There were a number of nudibranchs stuck to the man's underside, attempting to use him as a hat.
Well, I did say weirdest or funniest.
Trixie sighed. She handed the lip balm up to Molly without looking.
You win.
I guess there's not much weirder than a bunch of duty branches connected to a dead body, huh?
The body sputtered to life like an old lawnmower, coughing loudly. A
Oh.
nudibranch shot out of its windpipe and fell back into the sea. It
Oh, ew. Oh, my goodness. That's such a gross thing to imagine because they have like suction cups. Oh.
shouted at them. Win! All three
Huh?
girls screamed. The bodies
Hello, sir.
screamed back. Shrieked Phoenica. The body flipped around to look behind itself.
I love that the narrator is still describing him as the body. Like, we know they're alive.
Where? It tossed out a hand as if throwing a tennis ball. Molly was the only one who noticed, but for just a second, something like a little black string appeared from the body's hand. Then it vanished, like ink dissipating in seawater, disappearing as quickly as it came. The body looked at its palm. Exclaimed the body.
That's not good.
I'm guessing he tried to use his epithet and just couldn't for whatever reason. Maybe it's like Coupon's guy where he has a resource that he needs to use up.
This guy's not a zombie.
Trixie shrugged.
Too much skin. He's clearly some kind of squid vampire. A squidpire. Or maybe a baby Cthulhu.
He doesn't have enough tentacles to be a baby. Whoa! Top hair. No, not enough tentacles still overall to be a baby Cthulhu.
I am afraid you are mistaken.
The man stood up.
I am no undead creature. I am a famous and powerful wizard. Behold!
The wizard turned and cast his hand out towards the sea dramatically, over and over again, as though he were flinging a series of invisible frisbees. He grunted loudly with each toss. If any spells were happening, the girls couldn't see them.
Oh. I was about to say, oh, magic just exists in this world? It really is just a fantasy setting because of, like, they have epithets, like superpowers, and then actual magic. Although, maybe not actual magic because he's having some performance issues right now. It's fine, man. I get it. We thought you were a dead body moments ago. It'll take a bit to get your groove back. Then again, it might just be his epithet.
They stared at the man. He was about 20-something years old, which to a group of 12-year-olds was the same as being 40. The self-proclaimed wizard had a dusky complexion with an undertone of ash coloring his skin, as well as a pair of jet black sunglasses atop his pointed nose. He wore a purple jacket that might have looked snazzy once, but now it was dulled and crisscrossed with patches, including a heart-shaped patch over his right breast, the wrong side. The ramshackle...
Oh, it's a heart. Yeah, your heart's more like over here. Not quite all the way on the left, but like more to the left than it is to the middle.
Jacket combined with the red fingerless gloves he wore gave him the appearance of a drifter or some strange purple hobo who might travel by...
Yeah, very homeless aesthetic he's got. I mean, he kind of rocks it. Not really, but he kind of rocks it.
A boxcar. They wouldn't be all that surprised to see a bindle wash up on shore next to him.
Well,
He turned back to them.
it seems that my magic is in less than top form today.
Oh.
Must be some kind of surface interference from the surface world.
Phoenica's eyes lit up. She stepped out from behind the safety of her friends.
Magic?
She chirped.
You say that you're magic?
Well, now that she believes, I actually believe even less that he has actual magic. She's a very good barometer of, like, if she believes it, it's probably not true.
Of course I'm magic. What kind of self-respecting wizard isn't?
He flicked some seaweed off of his face.
Then this is most fortuitous indeed! I am Phoenica Felicity the 15th of the Felicity lineage. Perhaps you have heard of...
The 15th. Are you like an actual noble? What is this?
No.
The wizard grinned. Phoenica seemed unbothered by this and politely returned his smile.
Well, my family has been around since ancient times.
Okay.
Every few generations, we are fated to do battle with an ancient witch. And the only way we can defeat her is by bringing together a group of magical girls. I have currently assembled 3 magical girls, and am on the lookout for 2 more. If we cannot find them, then it may be the end of the world. Would you and or someone you know be interested?
What? Is that... That's just crazy enough that I don't know if that's like... Well, it wouldn't be a joke from her. She doesn't seem... She's not very the joking kind. She just kind of says stuff that are crazy, like with full... Are you... When you say 3 magical girls, is Molly and Trixie the other 2, and you're the 3rd? Or are these other characters? Also, if you're inviting them in, I guess, you know, we live in the future. Boys can be magical girls. I guess. Although he's more of like an adult, but it's probably not a problem. I don't know. Okay, just continue.
Magical girls, you say?
The wizard looked over the trio with renewed interest. His eyes danced behind his sunglasses. The lenses were inky black, but somehow his eyes themselves shone brightly through the darkness, like a candle in a tunnel, or a demon watching you sleep from some hidden corner of your room.
Oh, well, now I do believe he's at least something going on with him.
Do you have any special power?
I can make Nido potions.
Trixie offered.
Yes, but those aren't real.
Phoenica stepped in front of her.
So, more magical girls would really be appreciated.
Hey,
I mean, I don't know. The potions sound like they work. in like the when you splash somebody with a potion, a bunch of liquids, it makes them go away. So
my potions are too real, and you can't do magic either. So what do you know?
Well,
Phoenica stammered.
I may not be magic exactly, but that's okay. You don't need to be magic to be a magical girl.
okay, well now I don't know what to believe. I'm starting to think this whole ancient witch rivalry isn't even true if you're not even a magical girl. Well, then again, this is a world with epithets, so maybe you just need to have an epithet, and that's enough to be like a magical girl. I guess? I don't know. Wait, but you don't have an epithet, I don't think. How are you gonna beat this ancient witch?
By definition, do.
Trixie frowned.
No, not true. Technically, real magical girl powers only manifest when the time truly calls for it. The time just hasn't called for it yet. That's all.
Ah, right. I'm sorry. I forgot you haven't had the magical, like, pet creature or whatever, like mascot, to grant you your magic powers so you can fight against the evil witch yet. Which means the evil witch isn't back and everything's fine. Okay. I understand now.
The most important requirement is that you are pure of heart.
She turned to the wizard.
Would you consider yourself to be pure of heart?
He barked. There was an extremely long, awkward pause.
I guess that answer is a no.
The wizard grinned at them silently like a glitched character in a video game. Face unmoving, eyes unblinking. Molly was the one to break the silence. She had been hanging in the back watching this strange man like a hawk from the beginning. He was weird and way too friendly and probably like 40 years old. Gross!
He is about as suspicious as you could be. But I feel like that's probably because he either is actually evil or he just has no understanding of the surface world, as he mentioned. Is he like from Atlantis?
This was exactly the kind of person Street Smarts for Kids had warned them about. She grabbed her friends by the hand and began dragging them away from the beach.
Sorry. We have a class, so we have to go now. Bye!
Wait! Hold on a moment there!
The wizard called.
If we are indeed both magic, then it would be best for us to stay in touch, don't you think?
I'm getting some very... You know what, Molly? I think you're right. He has, like, very bad vibes.
His lanky stride caught up to them almost immediately.
That makes sense to me.
Feeny beamed.
And Feeny is unfazed by any of the vibes.
Molly hissed.
Very well!
Oh, gosh.
The stranger bellowed.
My name is Rick Shades. Would you like...
I read ahead slightly. I thought that said Rick Sanchez for a moment, like... from Rick and Morty.
He extended his gloved hand to Phoenica.
Be my friend?
Could you be any less creepy about it, please?
Something was wrong about the way he held out his arm. It had an unusual weight to it, as if it was traveling in slow motion, like a car in bullet time just before an accident.
This is gonna be like a magically binding contract, isn't it?
Feeny deliberated.
Okay! Feeny!
Oh gosh.
Tried to stop her, but it was too late. The moment that Phoenica grabbed the wizard's hand, the sky tore open like blue construction paper. Beyond the sky was nothing. Nothing after nothing came bursting out. With a crack and a bang, a bolt
Oh gosh, the void. You know what? I should have expected something really bad to happen here. Well, maybe this is Feeny's call to adventure, where she gets to be a magical girl. Maybe.
Pure black lightning speared down, striking their handshake in a flash of cold, dark light.
Oh my, this is really cool art. And Feeny's like mildly surprised, but not like scared or anything. He's like, whoa. I'd be a little more freaked out if this happened.
Black electricity crackled across their fingertips, dancing like spider legs until it spun itself together into a single string. The string wriggled and writhed, then all of a sudden stretched out as taut as an arrow. One end of the arrow shot out and pierced through Phoenica's heart. The other end speared the wizard's chest as an elated smile broke across his face like a fissure in the earth.
Is this how you become friends with somebody? You couldn't just be like, we're friends now, yay. You gotta be like, no, we must be magically bound, our friendship eternal.
His eyes turned as black as his sunglasses. They glowed as he flung back his head, cackling like a maniac in triumph.
Okay.
Be sealed! Anyways, it's nice to meet you.
He smiled.
You know what? It's nice to meet you too, Rick.
Blink. The world was back to normal. The sky was a beautiful, clear blue. Distant, cheerful families could be heard laughing upwind on the beach. The wizard's eyes weren't glowing anymore, and Phoenica no longer had a charcoal spear through her tiny chest.
That feels like a imagine that visual for a moment. Just like all this is happening and then blink, everything's back to normal. I wouldn't even be sure if it was like, did I just have a vivid hallucination? What just happened?
What? Did that actually
said the wizard.
That's what I'm
removing his
saying.
hand from Phoenica and pointing it towards the others.
Who else wants to be friends?
Molly and Trixie both took a
Literally, bro, again, if you are not, like, evil, you are doing such a bad job of being, like, not suspicious about it.
step back in unison, dragging Feeny along with them like a rag doll.
Feeny, are you okay?
Molly stammered.
Oh, why, she's more than okay.
The wizard grinned.
She has a new friend. Me, Rick Shades, wizard extraordinaire.
What did you do to her?
Trixie demanded.
Why, nothing at all.
Are you sure? I feel like a bolt of black lightning isn't nothing. Well, actually, it was specifically described as nothing, so never mind. You did do nothing to her. I get in a
She just helped me regain a little bit of my magic.
He lifted his finger and it crackled with black lightning, making a noise like static from an old television set. It was the same inky string of magic Molly had briefly spotted before, but larger this time. More erratic and wild.
After all, that's what friends are for.
Did you steal her magic away?
Molly frowned.
I had magic to steal?
Phoenica blinked.
So I am a magical girl? Magical girl confirmed?
Oh, that's what she's getting from. Well, I mean, to be fair, I guess I'd be like, whoa, I am a magical girl, and then like, wait, you're stealing my magic that make me a magical girl? No. Be very conflicting emotions.
Oh, no, nothing like that. Seeing as we are bosom companions, I suppose I can tell you how this works.
All right.
My epithet is soulmates.
A crackle of black lightning echoed behind him to accentuate his reveal.
This is like soulmates, but in like the most negative connotation I could feel.
Oh, goodness.
Phoenica blushed.
We're soulmates now?
Yes!
My. And here I spent my entire evening working late into the night decorating that new marriage binder for the museum sheep boy.
You don't even know his name.
Well, if it's a wizard husband that
I don't know his name either.
fate hands me, then a wizard husband I shall have.
Trixie wrinkled her nose and stuck out her tongue.
Feeny, ew, he's like 40.
Thank you. I was about to be like, soulmates, like with a kid, and that's very creepy, but I'm assuming that's not the direction things are going in.
Okay, wow, and also ouch.
Rick said.
Mainly because, you know, the very, like, black lightning evil vibes he has.
First of all, I'm a dashing young guppy of but 20 years. Second,
Again, they're kids. It doesn't matter to them. It's the same difference.
my power has nothing to do with romantic soulmates. It simply means that I keep my mates in my soul. I carry my friends with me in my heart. Literally. Here, let me show you. Phoenica, my best surface friend.
Wait, does this let him copy epithets, essentially?
Tell me, what can you do?
Molly leaned in to whisper.
Feeny! Don't tell him stuff about you. Remember what street smarts for kids taught us? But street smarts only warned us about strangers. Mr. Rick is no stranger. He's my friend. We
Why are you adding Z in front of...
learned about it.
You know what? Like, what do you even say that? It's like, we're literally soulmates now. It's fine. Even though we didn't know each other, like, moments ago. I'd have a couple reservations about all this.
Yes, I am a friend!
Rick screamed.
Especially because of the way he is.
Trust me!
Okay.
Feeny smiled.
Well, I don't mean to brag, but I am quite adept at schoolwork.
Schoolwork! Yes!
He leaned over to them.
What is that?
Molly tilted her head like a puppy.
You don't know what schoolwork is?
Okay. So I'm guessing it really is from somewhere else. The underwater world, the underworld, anything that isn't the surface world, I'm guessing.
Trixie grumbled. Phoenica opened her backpack and produced some of that night's homework along with an erasable pen.
Oh, she's making sure to not have a bad eraser this
She
time.
handed them to Rick.
Like these. is language arts homework. There are a number of example sentences here. You're supposed to circle all the words with spelling or grammar mistakes.
Ah, yes! Schoolwork.
Okay.
And my own this challenge for 7th graders may prove.
Bro. Who is this man? What? Somebody come get him.
Too much for me! But with the power of soulmates, anything is possible.
A staticky noise filled the air.
Okay, I mean, it's very goofy how they're treating it right now. That's like, oh wow, he has your like homework doing ability, but this sounds like a really strong ability. How many soulmates can a person have? 1, 2, a dozen, 40? What? Because if you just keep stacking soulmates, I feel like eventually you'd get like so overpowered, right? And if you can get like their epithet, which even if you can, it's still pretty good. But if you can, then it's even better.
Black glowing light leaped out from behind the heart-shaped patch on Rick's jacket, and a matching black heart appeared on Phoenica's chest. Rick's eyes blinked out and roared with unholy fire.
Why does it have to be so dramatic when you're using it?
Up the pen and, as if in a trance, began writing with a knowledge that was not his own.
I before Eve, except after seeing, or when sounding like A, as in never or way.
Actually, I'm sorry. I love how dramatic it is. He's so over the top.
Cackled maniacally. Boring cackle. Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
The homework was utterly defeated. It never stood a chance.
Oh. The homework. Slain. Like a common beast.
Wait a moment.
Phoenica gasped.
You're using someone else's knowledge to do your homework? That's cheating!
No, it's not cheating. You're helping me. Whatever my friends can do, I can do. That's the power of friendship.
He said the word friendship as though it were a poison that he had slipped in someone else's drink.
Yeah, you feel like the kind of guy who uses your friends. You know, who has friends that only exist, you know, to be used by you.
No!
She protested.
If you are indeed a cheater, pumpkin eater, Rick Shades, then I am afraid that I cannot be friends with you!
What? No!
Thunder clapped and roared. The black string that bound Phoenica and Rick by the heart appeared again. It quivered, and then shattered like so many pieces of glass. Rick fell to his knees, shaking like a wet puppy.
My knowledge! It's gone!
The dramatic, tragic music. I love it every time it comes in. It's so funny to me. Alright. Okay. I was wondering how easily you could break the bond. If you could break the bond at all. Apparently, you just gotta be like, you and me are not cool anymore. And it shatters. I guess. That does make the whole plan of just having a bunch of bonds kind of more difficult, because you seems to, at some degree, to actually be friends. Even if, like, sort of, like, just basic level friends.
Wait,
Trixie lowered her eyelid.
your weakness is people not being friends with you?
Rick began to cry big dumb tears into the sand.
I mean, you say it's not like, you say like it's a massive weakness. If he just has a couple friends, which, to be fair, I don't think he does, but if he did, it'd be pretty good.
Molly said.
He's a loser.
Trixie squinted.
I think we should throw
Polly's so casually brutal.
this
Oh
one
my
back
goodness.
in the ocean.
Please!
Weeped certified weenie Rick Shades.
I can't go back. I used to have so many friends. I used to be so powerful. But now I'm nothing. I'm just a poor wizard with no magic left to his name.
I'm so curious how you ended up this way.
You poor dear!
Feeny appeared at his side and patted his back. tears were as contagious as a yawn for Phoenica, and they were streaming down her cheeks in instant waterfalls.
If you promise me that you will reform your pumpkin-eating ways...
Cheater, pumpkin eater. Right. That's why she's saying pumpkin eating. Okay. Got it. I got it. I'm sorry. All this is a lot to take in. All right.
I would be honored to be your friend, Rick Shades.
Phoenica!
He cried.
My oldest and dearest companion! Thank you! I promise to never cheat on homework for a 7th grader again!
But homework for an 8th grader? Now. He feels like the kind of guy who would pull something like that.
They both wept like it.
Then again, I keep pausing it, but then again, maybe he's not as bad of a guy as I'm getting the vibes that he is. But I won't hold my breath.
Idiots and hugged as a black spear re-pierced their hearts, forging their bond anew. Rick stood up and dusted the sand off of his dirty hobo pants.
Now! Are either of you two feeling generous enough to be friendorous?
Trixie hissed at him like an alley cat.
Come now, don't be that way. I've told you all about my powers, so why don't you tell me all of yours? In explicit detail.
Well...
Again, yes. I really do feel like he just wants to use them for other epithets. Which just makes him a creepy guy. He's like using kids for power. Like, what the heck, man?
Phoenica offered.
Only one of us has an epithet.
And we're not going to tell you who it is.
Molly interrupted, using her powers to mute Feeny before she
I feel like that's a common thing that Molly does, just muting Feeny.
could ruin everything. Rick grinned.
No matter. I plan to be friends with all of you soon enough.
I don't know how you could say such like a normal thing in such a evil way. It's like, yes, soon they will all be my friends. Every single one of them. All of them will be my best friends. It's like, my goodness, man. Calm down.
His head snapped from maniacal cackle to pleasant chat mid-sentence.
Anyways, you said something about a winner?
Huh?
A winner! Winning! Something about
Nope.
winning! That's what you said when I first woke up! Let me prove my worth to you guys. Prove that I'm friend-worthy. Who wants something? I bet I could win it better than they did. I'm very good at winning. Then you will think I'm cool.
Oh, gosh. Bro, everything you say makes you seem so lame. You're trying to convince a bunch of kids that you're cool and worthy of being friends with. Do you understand that?
I think you might need some punch-ups on your friendship speeches.
Molly said.
Winning?
Trixie squinted, trying to figure out what this weirdo was talking about.
Oh, you mean the prizes. We were putting these nudibranchs that washed up on shore back in the water. Whoever finds the weirdest thing and saves the most nudibranchs wins a treat.
A treat?
The potion returns. It makes you go away. And it'll probably make him go away.
Eyes widened like a dog hearing someone open a bag of kibble.
Excellent! I have not eaten in days.
Days?
Asked the trio all at once.
Yeah, where did you come from also? Is that why you're passed out on the beach? You just passed out from, like, hunger?
Yes.
Oh, gosh.
Molly fumbled through her pockets.
Let me see if I have some granola bars or something.
They all rummaged through their stuff, but nobody had any snacks. Molly juggled the little green tube of apple-flavored lip balm in her hands, and Rick pointed to it.
What is that? Is that the treat?
Huh? Oh, yeah. This was the prize. I don't think you're supposed to eat it, though.
I mean, I imagine you can. If you put it on your lips, it's bound to get into your mouth and then into your body. Then again, or into somebody else's body. So it's probably at least edible, if not exactly good for you.
Molly turned to Trixie.
You can't eat lip gloss, right? I mean, it's candy flavored. Maybe you can...
So it's probably pretty good, at least.
I don't know. I might be a potionologist, but I'm no candies doctor.
Molly turned back to see Rick sprinting around the beach. He was scooping up armfuls of nudibranchs and tossing them back in the water at speeds even Trixie wasn't able to match. He was as gentle as possible with the nudibranchs, but he was clearly in a huge hurry. After a minute, he returned to the girls.
I have saved 60 of these strange creatures. Do I win? Am I the winner? Do I get the winner's treat?
Strange creatures. I assume these are common in the water, so maybe he's not from the sea. Maybe he's from space or something.
So again, this is lip balm.
Wow! Feeding me a bomb! Wow, okay.
This man, are you still gonna eat it despite knowing, quote unquote, that it's a bomb?
With visible worry, Molly removed the cap and screwed the lip balm out to show him.
No, a balm. Balm with an L. It's like lip stuff that you put on your lips.
Wow, amazing! Thank you!
Rick shouted, leaning forward and biting into the lip balm like it was a popsicle.
Bad!
He was crying again.
No, don't swallow that!
It is too late!
Wait, you knew it tasted bad and you still okay. Alright, sweet.
All four of them began shaking in fear. Was lip balm poisonous?
You should probably call the, what is it? It probably varies country to country, but there's like a specific number that you call for like toxic stuff. When poisoned or whatever.
They had no idea. Phoenica began hurriedly searching for the answer on her phone. Trixie was looking for literally anything in her backpack to eat, but all she had was some lint and her goopy purple potion.
Oh my gosh.
Is that a drink?
Rick asked.
I have also had nothing to drink for the last 3 days, except for salt water. On a related note, I think I may be dying.
Oh gosh. From the lip balm or from the drinking salt water, which is bad for you, by the way. It just makes you more thirsty because the salt absorbs the water in you because there's a lot of it. And also, or are you dying from hunger? Or from, it's probably everything, actually.
Okay.
Trixie's.
Trixie does weirdly well and weirdly bad under pressure. I've noticed. She's already starting to, like, panic.
Buttered.
So this has lemonade in it, but it's also got hot sauce. And has been sitting in my backpack for 3 days.
Sounds like a wonderful meal to me.
I don't know what any of those things are, and I will trust your judgment implicitly.
Rick smiled, reaching for the potion with all the self-awareness of a dog about to swallow a brownie.
No!
The Neo Trio shouted. Trixie snagged the bottle back.
That's a potion of go away!
Ah, I see. So the pink one is a witch. Glad you warned me. Wouldn't want my insides to go away, now would I? Ha 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 ha!
That actually, if that potion works, which I don't think it does, but if it did, and you drank a potion of go away, would it make everything it touches go away? That's horrific, actually. You get, like, eaten from the inside out by the potion. But then again, I guess that's like drinking acid. If you manage to, like, choke it down, it would just start burning through your entire body. Ugh.
He started a big belly laugh that fired out in bursts like cannon rounds. It was energetic, but entirely mirthless and more than a little off-putting.
Is he
He stopped
okay?
laughing very suddenly like a puppet whose puppeteer had severed the strings.
Listen to me. We are friends,
Oh gosh, the sudden seriousness in his voice.
correct?
Maybe?
Molly answered hesitantly.
Wonderful. In that case, please, my new friends, do not let me die.
Oh gosh. Oh my goodness. We thought we found a dead body at the beginning. He might be a dead body now.
Rick Shades fell face down on the ground and passed out, resuming his state as an unconscious body on the beach. The nudibranchs flocked at his side to turn him into a hat, while the three little girls ran around like chickens, trying their best not to have a full-blown panic attack.
It's too late for that. I'm panicking and I'm not even there. Oh man. That was really fun. I really liked that chapter. Also, hi the smiley guy. I waved before, but I want to say an actual hello now. Hello. And to also whoever else is here joining us on the stream. there was really no just part that I could really pause and say hi because I was enjoying myself so much. Alright. But with my hello said, let's continue into the next and I think like final chapter, because we had the 4 prologues, chapter 1, and now like chapter 2, and there's like 6 chapters, which means that this is either a really long chapter or nope, it's really long. Okay, got it. Let's just go into it.
Chapter 2. Vincent's murder!
Oh, we're gonna see our best boy. Let's go. Hopefully.
Naven sat quietly at a small plastic table in the corner of the Blind Deaf Toy Emporium, tapping.
Again, I really love the background music. The way that it like just fits every scene, really sets it up. This is very nice. Also, hey Naven.
His finger in time with the toy cuckoo clock on the wall. It had been almost a half an hour since the chauffeur had dropped him off, and he was getting worried. It wasn't like the girls to be late. He looked around the toy store again.
So, don't worry about it, Naven. They're currently dealing with a dead body.
Dusty yellow light streamed in through the poster-smacked front windows and dyed the store in early shades of evening. The shop was small, but it was filled with an incredible selection of strange and wonderful things. There were name-brand products, of course, some from Naven's own company even, but most of the shelves were lined with custom-made, one-of-a-kind items dreamed up by Molly's father. Massive toy battleships, intricate doll houses, complex puppets that danced and sang, a whole plastic menagerie.
Huh. You know what? It kind of sounds like he is pretty skilled at making toys. We know, we know, by the way, that at least some of these toys are designed by Molly's sister, which I just cannot remember her name, in her like dream fantasy bubbles or whatever, with the dad like using it for ideas. But they do sound like a lot of really good toys.
That said, even with all the ticking gadgets and bright colors, something about the store felt quiet and still. So quiet that someone walking through the front door might assume that the place was closed and they weren't supposed to be inside. Browsing the shelves felt a bit like walking through a painting that someone else had left on an easel. At first glance, it was picturesque.
I mean, it's probably because nobody's there. Molly's dad isn't going to be selling stuff. Molly's sister is probably in her dream bubble, and then Molly isn't there. So actually, no, it really would feel like invading somebody's home.
But there was one glaring strangeness about it. A sphere. A big, white, circular blotch of paint that someone had spilled onto the artwork. Behind the cash register was a giant pearl floating uncomfortably in midair like a pupilless eyeball. Naven heard.
Ah, we know what that is. That is, I guess that's like the dream bubble of Molly's sister.
Heard a tiny rattling sound from the back of the room. A young, meek-looking man with spectacles wandered out from the store. He briefly made eye contact with Naven and then quickly looked away, ducking.
I don't remember his name, but hey, it's you. You better be prepared for your marriage with Feeny. She's has it planned out.
Back behind the shelf. The boy had grabbed a small pack of trading cards right after entering the store and spent the last 10 minutes waiting around while aimlessly wandering the shelves. It was obvious that he was killing time, hoping that some employee might finally come out to the register and help him check out. Or at least explain what was up with the sphere.
That's the employee. They're in there.
Naven decided to throw him a bone.
I can ring you up if you're ready. Oh!
The boy started.
Yeah, that'd be great. Sorry, I wasn't sure if you worked here or not.
Naven smiled.
I don't usually work the register. I run classes here in the afternoons.
I mean, I would say if you could just do that, but at this point, I don't think anyone's gonna stop you. Like, you might as well.
Classes?
Interpersonal communication. Oh, speech classes,
He clarified.
They're casual, so I don't have to wear a uniform or anything.
The boy looked him up and down. Even without a uniform, Naven seemed to fit in anyways. His colorful sweater vest and shoulder cape were as bright as a pair of green stained glass windows.
You know what? Yeah, he does kind of seem like somebody who's like doing a little bit of a cosplay of nothing in particular and just at a toy store. Yeah, that works.
And his easy smile looked like something you might see drawn onto a Harlequin doll. Naven clicked away at the brightly colored keys of the novelty toy register. They sang with individual music notes like a toy piano.
Wait, is it not even like a real cash register? You know what? I'm glad they're sticking to the aesthetic. It sounds good.
One pack of horizontal pilot command cards. That'll be $6.50. Naven reached out a hand for the money and popped open the register with a melodic ding. That's a pretty popular game these days.
Yeah. Do you play?
Naven shook his head. He mentioned that some of his friends played it, though, and that he'd been thinking about giving it a shot. The customer said he should.
And okay, I misunderstood this for a moment. I thought he was saying his friend, but no, he's talking to Nathan, obviously.
The boy recommended Naven a few good starter decks and mentioned there was a big tournament coming up.
Oh.
Naven said he'd heard about that and that he would be sure to check it out.
See, that's just fun. Does anybody play card games? I don't really, but I've liked the idea of playing a card games. I just like having the cards of different things because I think they're neat. Like I have a couple Magic the Gathering cards. Never played the game, but I think they're pretty cool to have.
The boy left the store in high spirits. The social awkwardness creeping on his shoulders just a few moments ago had melted away to nothing. He'd been hoping to see a friend of his who worked there, but the trip had been worth it for the conversation. What a night.
See, Naven is just really good at communications. There we go. We see that he's good at his job of talking, I guess that's his job.
This man. So nice that he'd completely forgotten to ask about the giant sphere hovering behind the counter. As Naven watched him go, his smile faded.
Why aren't they back yet?
It's good he didn't ask about the sphere, because Naven would have no idea either. He's like...
Suddenly, the giant pearl behind Naven began to ripple and roil as Lorelei Blindef poked her head out of it. Every time Naven saw her, she was decked out in a new costume. Today, she was wearing a lilac witch's hat adorned with bunny ears and a cotton ball on top like a rabbit tail. It was very cute, but it definitely wasn't part
She just pops out of the portal, right?
of the standard store uniform that she was supposed to be wearing for her afternoon shift. She crossed her arms.
What's with all the noise?
Oh my
You
god.
missed a customer.
Naven
She's so, like, whiny.
said.
I had to ring him up for you.
That's fine.
She scoffed.
As long as you're here, it's not a problem, right? Nobody even comes into this stupid store anyways. Now, keep it down. I'm trying to play.
She disappeared.
I mean, I feel like enough people have to be coming into the store considering you guys sell enough to stay open. You probably just don't see any of the people who sell stuff because you're in a pearl the whole time.
Back into the dream bubble like a child diving under the surface of a pool. Naven frowned. He wasn't sure that he'd be able to fulfill her request. Speech classes do tend to be fairly vocal. He'd planned a fun activity for today. Or at least, he thought it was fun. His students would each pick a song that they liked and then speak it aloud without the melody, as though the lyrics were normal words in a conversation. The exercise was designed to help them explore different inflections and to think about different ways to utilize sentence structure.
That's really cool. I like that idea. It's like, oh whoa, that's actually kind of difficult. I was really like Alexander Hamilton, but I'm not gonna embarrass myself. Let's keep going. I think that's a really
To make
fun
a fair
idea.
bit of noise. That is, if his students ever showed up. Naven checked his phone. No new messages. Molly, ever the little secretary, had sent him an email this morning to let Naven know she and her friends would be going to the beach, and that they might be a little late coming back depending on the bus schedule. Even so, it was 20 minutes past their start time. That was concerning. What Lorelei said wasn't entirely wrong.
So I'm assuming at this moment they're either dealing with Rick or they are trying to get him to a hospital. One or the other.
Not a lot of people...
Well, I guess both are the same. I mean, like, dealing with it as in, like, talking with him. So it's either that or that.
came to the Blind Deaf toy store. The building was located in the inner city in a fairly rough neighborhood. An average parent wouldn't be too keen on bringing their kids to this part of town just so they could browse a collection of expensive toys. It was a bad location, but it was the only place the Blind Deafs could afford to move after their first store burned down 2 years prior.
Ah, so it's been 2 years since their mom died. Oof.
Just as Naven started to assume the worst, the shopkeeper's bell jingled again. His 3 students walked in through the door carrying a body? Well,
There we go.
he had to admit, if something criminal had happened on their way home, he certainly wasn't expecting the perpetrators to be the trio of 12-year-old girls.
Yeah, I mean, then again, have you ever spoken to a 12-year-old girl? I could see a couple of them killing a person.
Naven! Naven, we need your help!
Molly called
You gotta help us hide this body.
The teacher rushed over as they carried Rick's body to the corner of the room. They gently laid him down on top of one of those carpets with a top-down view of a city printed on it. Molly ran to the back of the store to fetch Rick some water.
I like those carpets. I actually remember distinctly the one that I had when I was a kid. I wonder what happened to it.
Girls? Girls, what happened?
Trixie and Feeney began squawking at him simultaneously, telling completely different accounts of what had happened on the beach.
Trixie's probably being like, this weirdo is like my friend here.
It's hard to untangle the story through their squabbling, but Naven spoke fluent squabble and seemed to get a sense for it immediately. He leaned over to get a look at the man on the floor to check if he was still breathing. Naven's eyebrows raised when he saw Rick's face. He put his hand on his chin and stared with a complicated expression.
Oh, he recognizes this man. That's interesting. That's very interesting. All right.
The girls couldn't quite read what it was. Maybe they should have paid more attention in his interpersonal communication classes.
What's wrong?
True. Body language is a very important part of communications. You guys would probably have known that if you were better at the class. I say, despite being really bad at communication.
Feeney asked.
Besides the body part?
Trixie clarified.
Of course.
Oh, Naven said, caught a bit off guard, which was unusual for him.
It's just strange. This man appears to be Ocean Race. If he came from Ocean Country, he must have drifted an awfully long way from here.
Okay, so no, he doesn't recognize this person. He recognizes his race. And if he's Ocean Race and he said like the surface world, almost certainly this is like an Atlantis situation. Got it. Interesting.
He's lucky to be alive.
Oh, I'm a little bit ocean race.
Trixie cheeked, offering this information as though it might be helpful somehow.
As am I,
Naven mumbled.
Alright, that's pretty interesting. I guess it's not that weird to have Ocean Race in, like, your blood, I guess. Since these two characters immediately have it. Alright.
Each of the different races were named after their native country, and each of those countries were named after a different biome. Taiga country, deepwood country, desert country, island country, ocean country, and Australia.
Okay, I got a comment about this before when it was talking about the setting. Apparently Molly's Taiga country, right? Or am I missing? They're literally about to explain it, aren't they? Molly is not Taiga country. It says it right there.
With her blonde hair and blue eyes, Feeney was about as Taiga race as a person could get.
Okay.
Molly was equal parts Taiga and deepwood.
Deepwood, alright. So blonde is Taiga, brown Deepwood.
Trixie was mostly Taiga with a little ocean blood on her mother's side. People with ocean race in their veins could be easily identified by their brightly colored hair and striking eyes.
That's really cool. I love that I actually really like that they're explaining why some people have, like, weird colored hair. It's just a thing that comes from people who are from ocean country.
If a person's hair was a shade of neon pink, green, purple, or blue, then at least one of their ancestors was probably from ocean country. This ancestral trait remained visible no matter how many generations thinned the blood, like warning coloration on a venomous fish.
Okay, so so the weird colored hair is like a strong, it's like a dominant trait, a very dominant trait.
Centuries ago, the ocean people had been persecuted for their study of spellcraft and twisted magic. In response, their strongest mages used their sorcery to craft grand, domed cities and retreated to the deepest depths of the ocean. Now they lived in a secluded society somewhere at the bottom of the sea.
Also, Australia exists. I don't want to skip over that detail. What do people like from Australia look like? We didn't get a description for them.
The country had remained strictly isolationist to this day, and as far as the surface dwellers knew, nobody was allowed in or out. All modern knowledge of ocean country was deduced from the flotsam and jetsam washing up on beaches, strange pieces of glowing sea glass and translucent pipes, things that Trixie collected in a box under her bed. Scholars knew that general
I wonder if she's just collecting them because they're neat or because, you know, it's a tie back to her ancestors.
Location of ocean country, but beyond that, it was little more than a giant question mark hidden deep beneath the waves. Because of this, it was very rare to meet a full-blooded ocean race citizen. Trixie and Phoenica realized that they had never seen one before and stared at Rick with renewed interest.
I guess that explains why he's so weird looking and he has his long ears. Gray skin, long ears, weird colored hair that looks like a sea creature. As they brought up, the color is like a venomous fish warning. I guess that's what their hair is styled around, like creatures that could poison you. So don't eat me, you'll die or something.
Molly trotted back into the room carrying some fruit, granola, and a bottle of water. Naven reached out a hand and Molly reflexively passed him the bottle. He put it to Rick's lips and slowly poured a bit of water in, carefully ensuring that he swallowed it.
Is he gonna die?
Molly asked.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, whew. You guys are... I guess you guys will not see a dead body today.
Naven leaned back. It's a good thing you girls found him when you did. I don't know how much longer he would have lasted out on the beach like that. We'll clean him up a bit and get him sent straight off to the hospital.
Yay.
You three did a very good job.
Molly breathed a sigh of internal relief, thankful for the validation.
I would just be happy that, okay, we got it. Get them to the hospital.
After Rick collapsed, Phoenica started to call the police, but Molly had stopped her. Calling 911 was obviously the standard reaction to a person passing out, but ever since the museum incident last week, she'd felt uncomfortable around
That's
police
fair.
officers. She was a criminal, after all.
Not a wanted criminal. Yes, a bonsai blaster, and probably an acknowledged bonsai blaster. But they don't really even arrest bonsai blasters, so it's alright.
She was a bonsai blaster. Semi-officially, at least. She hadn't paid her membership fees yet, but she was pretty sure it still counted. Every time she saw
It doesn't, but don't worry. The boss is quitting the bonsai blaster, so you won't have to pay your fees.
cop, she was worried they might somehow recognize her and want to arrest her. And then who would take care of the toy store? Certainly not the man who waltzed into the room backwards at that exact moment.
Oh, coming through! Beep, beep, beep.
The worst character in all of this. Okay. Sorry, I had to pause and take a breath to prepare myself for Martin.
Molly's father, Martin, backed into the room in reverse, beeping like a dump truck. He was carrying a huge ornate castle in his arms, carved from wood and expertly painted. It was beautiful. The kind of playset with a 3-digit price tag that would make any parent wince when their child asked if they could take it home.
Okay. I will admit, at the very least, he's really good at making toys. But that's it.
Marty pivoted around the room, looking for somewhere to set the thing down. He spotted a podium that he thought looked absolutely perfect, thoughtlessly kicked a large teddy bear off of it, and placed the castle set in its place. He let out
Now where will the teddy bear go? Also, I feel like that's like symbolism, considering Molly and all of her like bear symbolism, or like, you know, details. Her hair looks like bears. She likes bears. Kicking a bear out of the way, putting a toy there. I'm just saying, it feels very indicative of their relationship.
appreciative whistle.
Ah! Now ain't that a sight for sore eyes?
He made a big show of dusting off his hands before his brain immediately switched tracks.
Man, I am starving.
The man flipped around like there might be some food floating behind him, and he noticed his daughter's friends standing there for the first time.
Oh,
Completely unaware of everything.
class is in session, huh? Sorry to interrupt. Hey, that looks good.
Marty leaned down and grabbed the bag of granola Molly had meant for Rick right out of her hands.
Bro, I hate you. A man is dying right in front of you, and you don't even notice, or care, or realize. He's like, and now you're gonna make it worse by taking the food meant for him. Oh.
Hey, hold on a second.
Phoenica protested, knowing that Molly would not.
Hey, Frank!
He nodded to Feeny, shoving handfuls of granola into his mouth. He turned to Trixie and gave her the double guns.
Dixie!
Marty always got their names wrong. It was a joke that he and he alone thought was very funny.
Okay. I mean, that's not the worst thing he's done, but on top of everything else, very frustrating.
He upturned the bag of granola and drank it like it was a beverage. Little crumbs stuck themselves into his starry blonde beard like backwash pretzel chunks in a bar glass.
Okay.
He patted his belly, looked down, and finally noticed the phosphorescent body on his floor.
Hey, Navy! What's this? You teaching them CPR on a dummy? Now that's some really interpersonal communication, if you know what I'm saying.
Bro. What are you even talking about? Like, I get the joke. I get his joke. But it's just like... Please leave. Every moment that he's here is making me exhausted.
He wiggled his eyebrows like awful caterpillars and made mock kissy noises. Naven smiled at him and
I
wanted
heard that.
to die.
This is a human
Same, Naven. Same.
man.
He said.
Whoa! Getting real spicy in class today. Hey-o! Just be sure to have her home by 8, okay, champ?
He playfully leaned down to the body and elbowed Rick in the stomach. Rick spat out a nudibranch. Laura.
Are you... I'm sorry. Are you implying... I mean, I'm sure you don't believe this. I'm sure you're just making a joke. But it does sound like you're implying... Oh... He's gonna do CPR on the real guy. Like, you're just fine with your daughter doing that? This man who's like 20 years old? I'm just saying... That's a weird thing to say. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Lori popped her head out of her bubble and waved a magic bunny wand around in anger.
I told you guys to be quiet! Oh, hey, Dad.
Hey, sweetie! Check it out!
He gestured his big arms towards the castle.
Ta-da!
Oh, yeah,
She blinked.
that's pretty good.
She's so uninterested in anything outside of her bubble. There's some people like that. But also, I do wonder, can she use any of her stuff outside of the bubble? Like, can she manifest anything in, like, actual reality, or is it all contained in the bubble?
Said you were into knights and stuff, right? Knights and dragons stuff?
Yeah, I'm kind of over nights, though.
Oh, yeah?
His eyes lit up.
Oh, what kind of stuff you got going on now?
Which stuff?
The stuff
That's, like, the same thing, man. It's just, like, it's just night stuff, but with magic now.
in your bubble.
No, which stuff? Like magic, potions, witch's brews.
Oh, witch stuff, huh? Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And now he's gonna make witch-related toys. Crazy. I mean, at least things are kind of working between them. If only Molly didn't have to suffer for it all. I would say that, you know, kind of like Trixie in that she likes potions now. Trixie would probably not appreciate the comparison.
Yeah! All right!
Gears began whirring to life in his head as his thoughts changed tracks again. He nodded to the guests one by one.
FIFA, ice rink, body.
Then he bolted out of the room like a new idea was about to appear somewhere in his workshop, and he had to get there in time to catch it before it flew away.
I mean, inspiration is kind of like that. Now, if only it wasn't connected to such a horrible man.
Trixie and Feeney scowled at him. His actions were a surprise to exactly no one. Martin Blinddeaf lived in his own little world, just in a completely different sense from the way Lorelei did.
I was literally about to say, like Lorelei, but in a different way.
No wonder the store hadn't gone under yet. Even though Molly worked as hard as she could, the girl was still 12. The only real reason the Blinddeaf family was able to put food on the table was because of supplementary funds from Phoenica and Naven. They tried their best to keep the store afloat, more for Molly's sake than for the sake of the business.
Oh, that makes me so sad. So it's literally most of their income coming from the fact that Phoenica comes in, buys a bunch of toys or whatever, and then Naven also does that. Because we know it's in a bad location where a lot of people don't come around. When people do come around, sometimes there's no one there doing the job with Lorelei. And the other times, it's just Molly. So, like, I guess it literally wouldn't be possible for them to stay open otherwise.
That made Molly feel guilty, like she needed to be working harder, like she owed them now, like it was her fault that things were going wrong. Naven had reached out to Child Services for her once. They'd sent an agent to investigate, but it was no use. The man concluded the home...
Oh, sorry. I'm getting a phone call. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. I decided to take a little bathroom break while I was gone.
For her once. They'd sent an agent to investigate, but it was no use. The man concluded the home was perfectly livable. After all, what
incredibly just as useless as they can sometimes be in real life.
kind of child wouldn't...
Child services, I mean. But also, I'm glad that he tried. My goodness, I was wondering, like, man, how did child services not get involved yet? They have. They just didn't do anything.
Want to live in a toy store? Molly didn't show any signs of physical injuries, and while it was maybe a tad unethical to have your kids work in your store, it was by no means illegal so long as they were getting an education. Their family floated just above the poverty line, and the older sister had an epithet that could make food, so there really wasn't anything to worry about on that front.
Her epithet can make food? Oh my gosh, that is good.
That's were seen as a big plus. Unsurprisingly, legally speaking, Naven couldn't do anything about Molly's home situation short of kidnapping her. So he settled for passing her a little bit of money every month to get by. Lorelei remembered that she had come in to yell at them and looked at the class huddled around the unconscious, wet, purple body. She twisted her face like she'd smelled something gross.
I feel like that's not the right reaction to have to a dead body, but... well, maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe he smells bad.
What are you doing?
Molly opened her mouth to ask for help, but Lori slid back into her bubble without waiting for an answer. Her words had been an insult, not a question.
Bro, you're not even slightly curious about the body on the floor? Alright, whatever.
The girl in the bear hoodie sighed. Well, at least the room was quiet again. The door to the shop exploded open and the shopkeeper's bell went screaming through the air. A figure zipped into the room and scampered up onto the table like a raccoon.
At least we got boss back.
His lanky legs wobbled as he balanced atop the wood like a surfboard, then solidified as he pointed triumphantly towards the sky.
Look upon me, mortals, and tremble! You may have known the ghost of my former self, but he is gone, cast into the flames and reborn.
I mean, your new look it's alright. Personally, I kind of liked your bonsai uniform a little more, but I'm sure it'll grow on me. Or maybe he'll come up with a better costume later.
Like a phoenix, wearing sunglasses and a cool hat!
The reactions. Phoebe's just like, whoa. And Molly's just genuinely kind of like happy to see him. And Trixie thinks this is as cringe as could possibly be. Which, that's fair. That's really fair, considering Trixie's family seems to be like actual criminals.
The man was not wearing sunglasses, and he certainly wasn't wearing a cool hat. Quite the opposite, really. The thing on his head was a modified catcher's helmet with an orange visor taped across the inside of it, like a homemade Sentai helmet. Two PVC pauldrons sat atop his shoulders, and a waterfall of inky black capes sprawled out from beneath them. The cape is actually pretty cool. Been bleached from the bottom up with a pattern of peachy orange flames licking up the shredded hem, and the skirt he wore had the same treatment, torn edges fluttering to evoke a flame. On his chest were ice.
Look, I do like the idea of the design. I just feel like it doesn't come together well at all.
Isolated chunks of black plastic armor floating aimlessly across a sea of neon orange spandex leggings, an undershirt so bright they hurt to look at, like a chemical spill or a lava lamp with a grudge. He looked like someone at a convention cosplaying a character that you almost recognized but didn't know well enough to name.
Yeah, or the cosplay is just not good enough to recognize who the character is.
Super Zero threw his arms towards the fluorescent lights above him, hands clad in fingerless black biker gloves, with his nails screaming in bright hot rod paint.
Rejoice! For you are about to witness the first appearance of the world's soon-to-be greatest supervillain! I am darkness! I am despair! I am Vincent Murder!
I love the, like, emotional music in the background. It's so at odds with the situation.
Said Giovanni Potage, wearing a stupid outfit.
I love Giovanni. Every time he makes an appearance, it's so good. It's perfect. He's, like, the best.
Boss!
Molly cried.
Oh, thank goodness you're here. We need your help.
Giovanni's over-the-top pose melted away to parental concern in an instant. He was hoping that she might compliment him on his cool new costume, but this was way more important.
And that's why Giovanni's incredible. Unlike her actual dad, as soon as he notices Molly has a problem, his goofiness goes away, and he's just like, oh, let me help you. Well, okay, what do you need? Because in that kind of way, like, the goofiness, like, her dad's goofy, he's goofy, but at least when things seem important, the goofiness can be pushed aside. It's like, all right, I'll get serious for you for now. Her dad would never do that. Martin would never. And Lorelai, she's stuck in her dream bubble, so she would never as well.
What's wrong, Beartrap?
He found a beach body.
A beach body?
Giovanni hopped down and took a look at Rick.
Whoa, Beartrap! You killed a guy? Oh, little villains grow up so fast.
Yeah, that's something you're proud of? I guess if all of the accomplishments of your, recruits are your accomplishments, then I guess it's like you killed this guy. So yeah, I guess it would be pretty cool. I guess.
He went to wipe a tear from his eye and bonked his finger into the visor on his catcher's mask.
Ow. No, boss! He's alive! I think. We found him on the beach and we're trying to save him.
Oh, I get ya.
He snapped his fingers in recognition.
Trying to pull the old "I saved your life, now it belongs to me" thing, and get yourself a minion of your own, eh? Oh, classic move. That would make me.
Is it? I mean, no, I guess it is kind of like a classic trope where super evil villains tend to have like a really loyal person who they like save the life of, and that's why they're loyal. So I guess this would be a good way for Molly to get their own minion. Rick isn't exactly doesn't seem like a really reliable guy, but I think it could work.
And boss. Oh, here, I'll help. Do you have like a bowl or something?
Molly looked around. She trotted over to the wall of toys and offered him a toy dump truck.
Sorry.
She wilted.
All our dishes are dirty.
I guess Molly has to be the one to clean them. Oh, what a horrible family. I'm sorry, I keep going on about how terrible they are, but they really are just so bad. They're just so cruel in how, like, apathetic they are. At least Giovanni's here to make things better.
Someone was supposed to wash them and didn't.
He's got to do his healing soup.
Characteristic drip of venom found its way into her tone.
Worry not, Beartrap. A good villain comes prepared for such an occasion. Behold, Vincent Murder's secret technique.
Oh.
Number 1.
He squatted a bit and
Number 1.
steam began rising from the black pauldrons atop his shoulders. Molly hadn't been able to see before because he was so tall, but there were little divots in the top of each of them.
Are those cup holders?
Yeah,
He smiled.
cool, right? I figured that sports cars and stuff had them, so I should probably put some on my costume.
I don't understand the logic, but it does sound kind of useful so that you can, like, hold soup in them. Because his epithet is soup, by the way, in case you forgot.
Just in case. Now, rise, liquid phoenix!
Giovanni shot his hand into the air and pressed upwards like he was raising the roof. A substance began to pool from the depths of his pauldron, swirling a bright red and yellow. Steam fogged his visor.
No! Could somebody please open his mouth for me?
Naven, awestruck by this very strange man,
I guess, how do you even react to just Giovanni in general? He comes in like a wrecking ball and just steals the scene, and you're just like, okay, hi, hello, sir. I guess you're in charge right now.
He did as he was told, putting a finger to Rick's chin and opening his mouth. Giovanni leaned to the side and poured the bubbling drink into Rick's mouth like a teapot. A little bit of
That's pretty good aim.
color returned to Rick's face. Finica looked up at this bizarre string bean who had apparently just poured lava into her friend's mouth.
Excuse me, sir.
She said,
Do you have some kind of epithet?
It's lava!
lied Giovanni.
I mean, assuming that they believed you, they'd be like, why did you pour lava in his mouth? How is that gonna help? Well, you see, this is healing lava. Yeah. They're such dorks. I love them.
Molly did have an epithet. Most aspiring supervillains wouldn't be too happy to be born with soup as their power, but Giovanni was a creative young man, and he wouldn't let something like that stop him. He had learned.
I mean, the other person had like discount, or was it coupon? Either, or both. Either way, you can do anything with with a good epithet, or with just an epithet in general.
He uses powers in a number of strange and innovative ways. He could build up steam and unleash it in a burst to run or jump high in the air. He could throw boiling soup like fireballs. He could even heal his minions with tasty concoctions that he described as potions.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Giovanni complimented himself.
The perfect power for up-and-coming supervillain, Vincent Murder!
So, Naven asked politely, how exactly are you and Miss Blinduff acquainted, Mr. Murder?
He's my boss.
She smiled.
We're in a club together.
Trixie blinked.
Oh gosh, Trixie knows. He's a criminal. It's fine. Don't worry about it. If you're gonna be with any criminal, Giovanni's probably the best one. Yeah, I can't really think of any better group to be with.
She stared dead on at Giovanni like he was a dead fish someone had nailed to her bedroom wall, and thought back on all of Molly's descriptions of the boss she had met during her time at the museum.
Oh gosh, Trixie's actually smart. She's not falling for this.
The puzzle pieces all snapped together at once in her mind, forming a picture of a garbage can.
Oh.
She said.
Oh, no.
She looked up at him with her one eye like a mean little spyglass.
Giovanni.
Wait. I just had a realization. Are they family? My only thing to go off is the pink hair, but also, wait. She knows his name.
Shh, quiet, Trixie.
He hushed.
That's my old name. I go by Vincent now.
Giovanni struck a pose like a cool greaser looking out into the distance. Then he flailed, sputtering cartoonishly as though he'd just seen her sitting there for the first time.
No way.
Hey, what are you doing here?
Holy Toledo, you gotta be kidding me.
Molly looked back and forth between them.
Do you two know each other?
No!
Giovanni cried.
They actually are family. I saw it already.
Don't reveal my secret!
Went to grab her, but she kicked
My first thought was that they were like siblings, but no, I guess not.
him in the shin. Ow! She looked at Molly.
Dang it, your armor did nothing to protect you.
And with absolutely zero pomp or circumstance, said,
He's my cousin.
Trixie couldn't believe this. The boss Molly had gone on and on about was her dorky, snaggletooth cousin. The same guy who burned his tongue when he tried to eat a hot coal at a family barbecue because it looked like forbidden candy.
I respect that, but also, it's always the cousins that's the weird one, huh? I say that despite loving my cousins. I'm the weird cousin, I think. Personally.
Don't do that.
Her brother had warned him.
Me one bite!
Giovanni replied, crunching into the coal like it was cereal.
I mean, it sounds like he was just a kid back then.
Giovanni was
Then again, he was probably not that young when that happened.
wasn't a bad guy, per se, but he was basically the world's biggest goober. She couldn't believe Molly thought he was cool. Molly was her smartest friend. Or at least she thought she was.
It's because he is cool in like a really goofy way.
Oh, wow.
Molly looked between the two of them.
You're related?
Yeah,
Trixie grinned like a devil.
Moxie used to beat him up all the time and he would run home crying.
Moxie was one
Aw.
of Trixie's delinquent older sisters. Honestly, her beating boss up wasn't too surprising. Molly once saw Trixie's sister bite through a bicycle tire like it was a donut.
In that case, I don't see it as like a really, embarrassing thing. You got beat up by somebody strong. It sucks to be you, I guess.
Trixie! Don't embarrass me in front of my minion!
Giovanni pouted. Trixie looked his new costume over, totally unimpressed.
What are you doing here anyways?
She asked.
Mom said that you were on the news for some crime thing.
She hadn't looked into it. Members of their extended family getting arrested was a pretty common occurrence, and it didn't usually warrant further investigation unless
Oh, you don't know that they're the ones who well, he did a lot of stuff. I'm sure he'll tell us
they
about it.
showed up at your house asking for gas money.
Aren't you supposed to be on the lam?
On the what?
Feeney's eyes sparkled. Molly put a hand on
No, Not like that, Feeny. They all have like an animal obsession, huh? Feeny likes sheep. She likes bears. Lorelai likes rabbits. I don't know what animal Trixie likes if she likes one. But I feel like a lot of them have animal fixations.
On her shoulder and shook her head. Feeny looked down, disappointed.
None of your beeswax, short snacks.
Giovanni leered down at her.
I happen to be on a secret mission, and the contents of said mission are for bear trap ears only.
I bet it's something stupid.
I bet you're something stupid.
I mean, it probably is something. Well, it was a really important mission that we still don't know the details of.
Giovanni crossed his arms.
Stupid.
They began spitting and raspberrying back and forth, circling around one another and facing off like cowboys about to draw guns. Trixie hissed and dived on Giovanni, wrapping around his
Oh
leg.
gosh, things are escalating fast.
He whooped and hollered, pogoing around the room on one foot, trying to shake her loose.
Oh my, Nathan winced. It's rather lively in here today, isn't it?
Naven was unusually sensitive to crowds and loud noises, just like Molly was. It was one of the reasons they got along. He'd agreed to give private speech lessons on the condition that the class size stays small so he wouldn't get overwhelmed.
Oh, poor guy. How do you... Again, how are you like the boss of like this multinational corporation? You're such a timid guy. But then again, maybe he's the perfect person for that position.
This was way more people in one room than he felt comfortable with. Detrimental empathy was yet another thing the two of them had in common.
Oh gosh.
Molly felt bad for Naven.
They really are kind of similar.
It was painfully obvious this week's speech class was going to be canceled at this point. He must have been disappointed. She decided to help him a little. It wasn't her shift, but it was her job to run the toy store.
Guys, quit it.
Molly ordered softly, walking straight into the middle of their tussle. Giovanni and Trixie froze mid-punch. Neither of them wanted to hit Molly by accident.
Also, I feel like if my friend who never asks for anything asks me something, I'd be like, whoa. They asked for it. All right, sure. Okay, friend.
She walked over to Trixie, who was still glued to Giovanni's leg. Molly tapped both of her shoulders.
Bap, bap.
Trixie detached and fell to the floor, somersaulting backwards and popping up. She turned and looked at Molly with her ruffled raspberry hair obscuring most of her face. Molly pushed it out of the way and patted her on the head.
Bap, bap.
it's such a funny visual, just bap, bap. Bap, bap.
Bap, bap.
Trixie parroted. Molly outstretched a hand like a teacher asking a student to spit out their gum. Trixie frowned and sheepishly reached into the pocket of her sweater and produced a chunk of Giovanni's costume that she had managed to rip off.
Oh gosh, your costume's it's not providing a lot of defense, or it's not, well, anything really. It's getting Trixie's torn apart. But then again, Trixie's also, I fear her. I think that if she did get into a fight, she'd be very dangerous. But she just doesn't want to.
Molly took it from her and reattached it to Giovanni's leg.
There.
She said, patting the costume.
Now be nice to each other. I don't like it when my friends get in fights. And you're both my friends.
Molly stamped
Aw.
her foot a bit to show that she was confident and that she meant it.
I love you.
She declared. Giovanni and Trixie both melted. This was the emotional equivalent of seeing children fighting with sticks and shooting them with a cannonball.
Oh my gosh, that's a hilarious visual. Or a messed up one, I guess. It makes me think of that one commercial where like a car crashes into like a bunch of kids. But also, that's very sweet. If I was them, I would also have melted.
The two cousins bashfully scratched at the hair behind their ears in the exact same way at the exact same time.
We were just play fighting.
They mumbled.
We didn't mean it.
Now
They really are family.
wake up.
She said. It was soft, but it was an order nonetheless. Giovanni and Trixie whispered apologies. Trixie didn't actually dislike Giovanni. He was actually a lot of fun at the family parties. Sure, he was a giant dork, but what good is a family barbecue without a few weenies? He
Yeah.
was always happy to play with Trixie and her twin brother Rex, even when they were little. And he'd always let them win at whatever game they were playing. He had taught Rex how to skateboard and gave Trixie the quartz crystal that started her collection.
I'm not surprised at all. Because that, even with the family, Giovanni's just like a great goober. It really doesn't surprise me.
Giovanni liked the twins, too. They were the only roughhouses who had never beaten him up. Well, until today, anyways. This was a draw. This didn't count.
They don't beat you up because they're so much younger. No offense.
Molly brought them together in a hug, saying,
Hug.
out loud for good measure. They did. Phoenica, who had been standing silently off to the side for the last few minutes, blinked twice.
Oh, she's like, all right, activation time. I guess now it's time to get back into everything. Whoop, whoop.
Phoenica exclaimed, joining in the hug. Phoenica was a top-tier hugger. Her bones were made of cotton. This hug had just gone from good to great.
That sounds unhealthy, but I guess very soft.
Molly looked over Feeney's shoulder at Naven. Did she do good at interpersonal communication? Naven gave her a nod of appreciation. She smiled back with her little bear cub smile.
Aww.
It was incredible how much progress Molly had made on her self-confidence recently. Even so,
Just goes to show, if you're not a confident person, get dragged into an incredibly dangerous heist, and it'll probably help your confidence when you survive.
so Naven could tell she was barely able to force herself to intervene and say something like that. She was standing on her tippy toes and her legs were shaking. But still, this was something. And
A pretty big something, I would even say.
snaggle-toothed young man had been the catalyst for all this. Giovanni stood up.
I apologize for setting such a poor example in front of my minion. But I have come here with news! Bear Trap! As of last night, I have officially left the Bonsai Blasters!
Oh,
Molly said.
good.
Trixie sneered.
You stink.
They really do. I mean, that at least now they have one less thing to make fun of him about. He's not part of the Bonsai Blasters anymore.
Yes, they do indeed stink! Instead, I am forming my own group of evildoers, and I, the evildoest of them all, shall be the leader! Now, I ask you, wanna join?
I would join. I'd be like, I'm not sure I'm really cut out for villainy, but if it's with you, I'd join. I'm like, all right, sure.
He smiled and pointed at Molly.
Oh gosh, I sure would like to, but my schedule's pretty busy.
Boy, I get ya!
Giovanni groaned.
All my other minions are indisposed this week, too. So, I'm recruiting! We've got a big secret mission coming up this Friday, and I need all hands on deck!
He looked at Phoenica.
How about you, Blondie?
We still don't know what the mission is, and I'm starting to get the feeling that we won't ever find out what the mission is in like this little preview, which I guess means that if you want to know what the actual mission was, buy the audiobook. Watch it, hear it yourself.
Feel like becoming a villain?
Oh, not at all.
Phoenica smiled.
I despise villainy, really. As a do-gooder, it is my sworn do-good duty to redeem all villains and bring them over to the side of righteousness.
Talking to a villain is like, no, I hate villains, actually. With a giant smile. Very Phoenix.
Her eyes sparkled. Phoenica tilted her head.
But now that I think about it, you did
Oh, we skipped the line. Ew, gross, he spat.
heal my very good friend Rick Shades. Perhaps you're not so bad after all.
No, I am. How dare you?
Giovanni's the only person that you could be like, you know what? I think there is some good inside of you. And he would be insulted. It's like, how dare you?
There is good
As he literally just said.
inside you. I can feel it. I have a sense for these things, you know.
Giovanni looked at her like she'd just thrown his pet dog into the sea.
My God. Is it that serious? Wow, of course it is that serious for Giovanni.
Perhaps I shall join in order to save your mortal soul. Besides, I can't say no to a fun team activity.
Phoenica beamed. Giovanni turned towards the other two.
Bear Trap? Trixie? I know that you two are pretty metal. What are you two rectangles doing hanging around this square?
I think that she's just very funny. I don't know how they became friends, but I think they just, like hanging out with each other. And also,
She's rich.
Trixie explained.
fair enough.
Gotcha. Well, I do need cash for my new organization. How would you feel about funding heinous acts of villainy?
Very bad.
She smiled.
Feeny, come over here for a second.
Said
Uh-oh.
wrapping her arm around her.
Okay.
Molly led Phoenica over to a toy plastic table and sat her down in a brightly colored chair so they could talk business.
Again, all the visuals that this, like, story manages to create in your heads. A toy table. All right. It's time for business at the children's table.
What if I told you could get in on the ground floor of an exciting new startup? Oh boy, buzzwords! That sounds good to me! Here, have $5,000!
Phoenica unzipped her purse and went to hand the money to Giovanni, but Naven stopped her. He looked at Molly and softly shook his head no.
Naven,
She pouted, coating her voice in honey.
you taught us that when you can't come to an agreement with someone, it can be a good idea to change your word choice.
True, actually, very much. I've seen a lot of online arguments. Well, it's online, so of course it is. That are just because of word choice. The two people can be on the exact same side with the exact same opinion, but because one person said it in the wrong, quote-unquote, way, that they just keep arguing back and forth. Until eventually they're like, bro, we agree. Stop arguing about this.
Yes, and you are using my lessons for evil.
All skills can be used for evil.
Say that we couldn't use your lessons for evil.
She noted. Well, I guess I didn't.
Good point, I guess. I mean, not really, but what can you say to that?
Yeah, Teach Man.
Trixie stood next to Molly like she was her lawyer.
What were you thinking?
I'm sorry.
Well, now that
Bro, he folded so fast as soon as two people were against him.
that's settled,
Giovanni said, pocketing Phoenica's money.
on to the next order of business.
I would feel bad about her, like, just giving away $5,000, but that seems like pocket change to her, apparently.
Getting this man proper medical attention?
Naven stared at the body still lying on the ground. They had been talking around Rick like he was a campfire.
No!
Giovanni grinned.
He drank the liquid phoenix. He'll be up in a few minutes. This is way more important.
All right.
As I said before,
Are we finally gonna get your plan?
in order to symbolize my new villainous beginning, I have taken on a new villain name, Vincent Murder! This name was certified very cool by the Cool Guy Council, as you can clearly see from this document.
Giovanni took a piece of paper.
Yeah, that name is dope. I mean, Vincent Murder isn't a bad name. It's only goofy because I know his name is Giovanni. Which, honestly, I feel like Giovanni by itself is a pretty good villain name.
Out from the
Although, then again, that might be Pokemon influencing my perspective.
utility belt that he was wearing around his waist and showed it to them. It was a handmade certificate with a note scrawled in pink marker that read,
Yeah, that name is dope!
Woo!
Deuces and kickflips. President Johnny Cool Tacos.
it was Giovanni's handwriting.
So, what I need from you guys is a name that is equal to, or possibly greater than, Vincent Murder! In terms of raw awesomeness! Awesomeness. The floor is open to suggestions.
Trixie gestured towards her friend group.
At school, call us the Neo Trio.
The Neo, again, just keep your normal names. They're pretty good. Giovanni, the Neo Trio.
Giovanni mused, turning the name over in his brain and tasting the words.
The Neo Trio. The Neo Trio. And Geo. The Geo Trio!
But they're
It's not, I thought your name was Vincent Murder.
Molly noted.
That is true. Trixie, you're fired.
She stepped on her foot.
I don't think she's even agreed to join the gang yet.
Thought your name was Vincent now. Why would you call it the Geo Trio?
Excellent point. You are fired again.
Trixie sputtered like a lawnmower dropped in.
No.
I have an idea!
Feeny bounced.
Let's call ourselves the Good Friendship Squad.
Bear Trap, mute her.
They keep muting her like every time. That's 3 times that they've muted Feeny so far.
As loud as she could, which was exactly 0 decibels. She scrambled around in her pockets, took out her phone, and tick-attacked a message onto the screen. Molly unmuted her, and Feeny and Giovanni immediately began bickering about the merit of different names, with Trixie weighing in on every suggestion. Naven mediated the discussion while discreetly swiping Phoenica's money from Giovanni's pocket and slipping it back into her purse. Trixie pointed this out, and Naven...
No, Trixie! Naven's trying to do good here.
Sheepishly tried to weasel his way out of the situation while Giovanni squawked at him. It was stupid and chaotic and loud. Exactly the kind of thing Molly normally couldn't stand. But here, right now, this was a cacophony she didn't mind. She didn't have a lot of good influences in her life.
Aww. See, there you go. I mean, some people have, like, actual just psychological issues when it comes to, like, loud sounds. But sometimes noise is fine when it's coming from sources you are fine with the noise coming from. Strangers, no. People, a bunch of different things playing at the same time that you're not paying attention, no. A bunch of people that you like and that are nice to you and are cool and chill, that sounds fun. That sounds like a good time.
Them were in one room together. It felt like her birthday. For just a moment, Molly Blindeff's world felt right. And so, of course, the universe had to ruin it.
Oh.
Okay, that is it.
A voice resonated from the dream bubble. Its pearly shell rippled, and Lorelei burst from inside, doing a very impressive triple somersault across the floor and popping up with her hands on her hips.
Honestly, pretty good costume. Very rabbit themed.
What is going on out here?
Whoa! A witch!
Giovanni pointed.
One letter off.
Hey, whoa. Careful with your language.
He mumbled.
An itch.
Feeny
That's not what they meant, Feeny.
nodded. Lorelei trotted over to them and held her bunny wand out in front of her. The bottom of the wand extended downwards into a full-sized birch staff and smacked angrily against the floor.
You little squirts are being so loud that it's reverberating my whole dream bubble. How am I supposed to brew potions when you're all shaking the cauldron?
Okay, does the sound affect the dream bubble that much? Okay, that's interesting to know. I feel like the details of how the dream bubbles work are pretty important, so I'm just, like, nodding them down, even though we're, like, at the end of this thing. But whatever. Alright.
Giovanni whistled.
You can make potions?
Lorelei looked him up and down, not quite sure.
Technically, Trixie isn't wrong. If you mix bunny and witch, you get... Yeah, you're right. A different word that starts with B.
Sure what to make of this new weirdo.
Yeah, I can make potions. Why? Who are you?
I am Vincent Murder! Up-and-coming supervillain. I just so happen to be a bit of a potion maker myself.
Yeah.
Observe!
He flicked out his hand and a spear of roiling orange soup.
I'm very curious, by the end of this chapter, what Giovanni's opinion of her is going to be. Probably very negative. He's like, oh, okay. Kind of mean to your sister, you know?
Hovered in midair.
Oh, what's that?
A healing potion.
He answered proudly. She waved her hands in a circular motion, and a sparkling glass vial appeared, wrapping upwards along the outer edges of the potion and looping together to form a cute little bottle with bunny ears.
Okay, this answered my question. So she can make things in the real world and not just in her dream world. That feels like a really strong ability. Just being able to make whatever, essentially, you can imagine.
Ears at the top. A cork appeared between the ears with a...
Well, then again, she seems more focused on her dream bubbles than the reality. The dream bubbles, in a way, actually, are kind of like reality marvels or domain expansions from, like, Fate Stay Night and, Jujutsu Kaisen. If you think about it. Like, she could, like, just create a bubble around... Well, I assume she can create a bubble around you. And now you're in, like, her little world.
Lori snatched the vial from the air, uncorked it, and took a sip.
Oh, that's not bad, actually.
What potions can you make?
Giovanni asked. For the first time in a while, Lorelei smiled. Her front 2 teeth stuck out from under her lip just a little bit.
Anything. Try me.
Whoa, that's weird that they're getting along. I guess, huh. I guess Giovanni is just goofy enough to like easily slot in with whatever Lorelai's playing as, you know? Huh. I hadn't really considered. I guess when it's just the two of them, they probably interact well. But with Molly involved, because Giovanni cares about Molly and her sister pretty much doesn't, that's probably like going to be their main source of conflict.
Giovanni tapped his finger to his chin.
How about a potion that gives me the powers of a dragon? No, a phoenix. A dragon phoenix.
A dragon
that
phoenix. Okay.
breathes fire and is fire.
Molly fidgeted.
Right. Ooh. Right. Ooh. Don't mention fire at all. The thing is that they can be friends and they're so good together as friends, but she's so rude and mean, and when she gets mental health, oh god. I don't know how the rest of the stories goes. I assume she gets some character development. I hope she does. I hope that by the end of Prison in Plastic, she's at least in a better situation with her and Molly. I shipped them already, by the way. No, I'm kidding. Oh, I'm not even kidding.
Right. Sorry, Bear Trap. Scratch
Classic characters interact for like 1 second. There you go.
that. Let's do a gargoyle.
Lorelai winked at the challenge as if to say, easy. She flicked her staff in the air, spun it around her arm like a ribbon twirler, and dramatically pointed it in front of her with a swish.
Skin of stone and heart of soil. Human morph into gargoyle!
A silvery substance like mercury twisted its way into existence, filling the shape of an unseen glass vial. She raised her staff and drew the outline of the bottle like it was a magic pencil. This one was styled like a little gargoyle with the cork above the nape of its neck.
That is really cool, actually. I agree with Giovanni.
The bottle floated through the air towards Giovanni, who snatched it.
Ooh. This is so cool.
It's no big deal.
Lori grinned.
And look at the little gargoyle bottle. It's even got wings and everything. Can I keep this?
Sure.
Man, they are getting along really, really well.
Bunny smile widened. Finally! It had been ages since anyone besides her dad had shown any appreciation for her showmanship. It's the little touches that really matter. This guy gets it.
Unironically, yes. Giovanni's the kind of person who cares about those little touches as well when it comes to like villainy and all that stuff. So yeah, again, he does get it.
See if it works.
He went to take a sip and the glass dinked against the aluminum mesh of his catcher's mask.
Uh-oh. Hang on.
Giovanni put the bottle down on the table and went to take off his headgear. Lorelai watched him. She had no idea what this strange boy might look like underneath his silly Sentai villain costume. She liked the outfit, though. It was fun. Giovanni had traveled...
Also, speaking of the outfit, when I first saw it, I thought it was kind of goofy. But as the more I see it, the more I'm like, I actually like it.
all the way to the toy store in full costume, earning himself quite a few strange looks from the other passengers on the bus. He had to walk the last mile or so on foot, so he was a bit sweaty. When he took the mask off, it seemed to Lorelai that time had slowed down. The catcher's mask slid off of him, and he threw his head back, whipping his pink hair behind him with a sigh like a rearing horse.
Oh gosh.
Sweat trickled down his face in sparkling detail, like a sports drink commercial or a fast...
Oh, we're getting that moment in like a movie where like the love interest comes into the scene and like everything goes in slow motion as we see them through the eyes of like the protagonist, in this case Lorelai.
Food ad where someone just off camera was spritzing water onto a particularly gawky carrot. She stared at him, wide-eyed. His spiked crocodile teeth, his scrambled mane of ratty, teenaged hair. That
for real. During this part, you took off your headphones. That's hilarious.
Unkempt pink stubble, his cackling cheese grater laugh. He was gorgeous.
The ship is real.
Her voice jumped an octave and she started unconsciously twirling her hair.
Oh no.
Trixie said simultaneously. Phoenica looked at them like she had missed something.
Phew!
Giovanni gasped.
Need that mouth flap or something in the next model. Also some ventilation. Getting a little stinky under there.
Oh yeah, this guy was hot.
I'm so sorry. The line, "It's getting a little stinky in there," followed by, "Oh yeah, this guy was..." That's... Like, don't get me wrong. Giovanni's a pretty good-looking guy, I think. We saw some of the art of, like, him in a different style. I think he's a pretty good-looking guy. But this reaction is just so funny to me.
Anyways, time to test out this potion. Down the hatch.
Giovanni chugged the silvery liquid in a single gulp.
All right. Gargoyle powers, activate. Ooh, ah!
He did a sort of power charging pose that was 40% squat and 60% scream. He thrust his arms forward and slowly they began to change. The tips of his fingers sharpened and solid.
Again, really strong power. She could just make whatever, like even potions and stuff. That's crazy. That's such an incredible ability.
Creeping back and forming stony scales all the way down to his elbows. His outfit petrified along with him, hard gauntlets of fossilized plastic casing his arms.
Heck yeah!
He shouted.
And no gargoyle is complete.
It doesn't seem healthy, the ship? Oh, don't get me wrong. I don't think it would be out. I think she would need to improve as a person before any kind of relationship would go well. B, when I'm in a silly competition and my opponent is Giovanni. Instant loss, man.
Without horns.
Giovanni put his thumb in his mouth and blew, popping two long, black, diabolical horns out through his hair.
Wow.
Lori said, her voice still in falsetto.
That looks so good on you.
Thanks. Cool potion. Love the color. Better mouthfeel than I was expecting, too.
She looked him up and down.
You're tall.
Yeah.
He smiled.
How tall are you?
I don't know, like 6'3"?
He looked up.
6'10" with horns?
Oh my gosh, with horns?
Oh my gosh, that laugh. That laugh there.
You're so funny.
Gross.
You know what, Molly, Trixie? I kind of agree.
Said Molly and Trixie, louder this time. Shut up! Lori hissed at them. She turned back to Giovanni.
So, like, what's your name?
Vincent Murder,
said Giovanni Potage. He dug around in another.
I feel like we're about to have the actual clash between them. He's like, she thinks he's great, but then he's gonna be like, oh well, Molly's one of my minions. It's like, oh, Molly, and then immediately I feel like that's where the conflict starts.
Another pocket of his utility belt and handed her something.
my calling card.
It was a baseball with the word
Evil
written all over it in red ink.
Very fitting.
So cool.
She smiled.
So, like, what are you doing here? Did you want to buy some stuff for your costume, or?
Nah, I'm starting a new bad guy group. I'm gonna be the strongest villain of all time, so I'm out recruiting new members.
Oh my gosh, I'm like super strong. I could be one of your minions.
You are actually really strong. I've been saying it. You have a really good power. But I guess how strong are you in the dream bubble versus in actual reality doing villain stuff?
All three little girls immediately began making wild no motions with their hands.
Consider it. This is going to be rough to get into the group, considering all three of them are like, no, I kind of really dislike her. Even Molly, obviously, dislikes her sister a bit.
Hands. Lori stepped between them and Giovanni.
My epithet can pretty much do whatever.
Oh, yeah? Well, normally I only accept recommendations from pre-existing minions. Let's check your references.
He leaned his spindly frame past Lori.
Bear Trap? What do you think?
Molly droned, trying to think of the loudest way she could say no without sounding like a jerk.
I feel like, well, she's kind of busy, you know? you know, she has these like dream bubbles. Those take up a lot of time of her day. She can't quite manage to to be a villain as well.
Lorelai looked between Molly and Giovanni.
You know my sister?
She asked.
Yeah! Oh. You're her sister?
Uh-oh. Did Molly say anything about Lorelai to... Actually, I don't think Molly said anything about Lorelai specifically, but she did bring up the whole that she has to do all the work at home, pretty much. And that in of itself would probably make Giovanni be like, oh, so you're the older person here who's not helping your sister at all? Your little 12-year-old sister? I see. And immediately in that kind of situation, it's just like... yes, in episode 2 of Epithet Erased, talked about how her and her father were busy and Molly had to do everything. Giovanni remembers that. He's like, ah, so this is the witch.
Didn't escape Lorelai's notice that a little bit of excitement vanished from Giovanni's eyes. Had Molly said something bad about her? Ah, that little mosquito.
Sure am. Oh, isn't she cute?
Lori squeezed up against Molly and hugged her like she was a stress toy. Molly looked at her sister like she smelled.
So...
Oh, it's so annoying. Immediately somebody changing their vibes around you because, well, if they like you and I like them, then I have to pretend to like you so that they like me. And it's so obvious. It's like, bro, please stop.
How do you know each other? Is he like a babysitter or something?
She turned to Molly.
You know we can't afford those.
I know very well what we can and cannot afford, yes.
She's the one who does the taxes. She knows.
Giovanni walked up and put a hand on Molly's shoulder.
Bear Trap here is my #1 minion.
She is?
I am?
She got promoted to #1. Let's go. Oh, gosh. The other minions are going to be a little upset about that. Well, they might be a little upset about not being #1s.
Molly's eyes sparkled. She didn't know she was the #1 minion. Oh, that's nice.
Yay.
Absolutely. After all, Bear Trap's gonna help me on my up-and-coming secret mission. Though, I'm not sure I can discuss it here with so many non-villainous ears around.
He glanced unsubtly at Phoenica.
It is a secret mission, after all.
I don't know. I think Phoenica is going to get involved in this one way or another. She's not going to let her friend go on an evil mission when on their own. She has to redeem your guys' evil mortal souls.
I can help.
Lori shelved herself in front of Molly.
Like I said, I'm really strong.
Also, are you just like casually going to be like, yeah, let's be a villain. I'm totally fine with that. I have a crush. Let's be evil. Is that all it takes? I mean, Giovanni's not that evil, so it's fine, but still.
Played with the bottle in his hand and considered.
Well, this is a top-of-the-line gargoyle potion. Easily the best and also only one I've ever had. But I think I'll leave this one up to Bear Trap. Bear Trap, what do you think? Should we bring her along? It's your call.
Molly turned to look at her sister.
Golly, what should I say?
Yes!
Lori hissed.
What in...
Oh gosh. This is why you gotta treat your siblings better. Well, I mean, you should just treat anyone nicely, but also, if you're gonna be selfish, at least do it for yourself. It might pay forward in the future.
Gosh, I don't know.
Molly tilted her head.
I think that a good minion would be responsible and do their job. Or the dishes.
Well, sometimes minions are too busy to do the dishes.
Busy with what?
You know, busy... oh, busy having fun. And playing a game, pretty much.
Busy strengthening their creative minds.
Minions were also supposed to be behind the register today.
They were behind the register.
Lori tapped her foot.
They wanted to be in their room, but you said they had to be behind the register, so that's where they were playing today.
Which is, that's, like, technically, yes, that's what you were where you were supposed to be, but you weren't working at all. You were just making potions.
Molly considered?
I think I say no.
Lorelai squinted at her little sister like she wanted to punt her into the sun. She took a deep breath and flipped around to Giovanni with innocent, sparkling doe eyes.
Well, maybe I could do some kind of test or something. There have to be other ways to become a minion than stupid recommendations.
True, Molly did not become a member through recommendation. Although, that was a bit of a complicated situation.
Giovanni looked her up and down and considered.
Well, I suppose.
Also, yeah, I also love that Rick is just there. Oh, you can barely see him on my screen. But under my head over here, Rick is just lying dead the whole time.
I do want to test something. If you pass, you can join the team.
Oh, yay!
She hopped up and down.
What do I have to do?
Just one thing.
He said. He raised his gargoyle arm in the air and pointed at her dramatically.
You need to show me that you've got the most important quality a minion can have.
Isn't it just like listening to your boss? Doing what your leader says?
Okay.
She blinked.
What is that?
You tell me.
He crossed his arms and smiled like he had just offered her a really good riddle.
I would say obedience, but that feels like the wrong answer when it comes to Giovanni. I feel like that's not what Giovanni wants to hear. I don't know. What would he consider the most important quality? Growth? Potential? Teamwork?
Lorelai tilted her head and tapped her chin.
That's tough. I spend most of my time as the hero, so I'm not really sure what kind of things minions get up to, other than getting stepped on.
The trio reflexively took a step away from her.
Most important quality a minion can have. Oh, I know. Duh, being super evil. So all I have to do is come up with a cool plan and show off how evil I am.
Molly thought about saying something mean, but decided against it.
She is falling into this evil path really easily. She's like, okay. I don't know. Minions aren't really the ones that come up with plans. They're the ones who follow the plans and like maybe offer advice occasionally, depending on how their boss reacts to it. But they're not really planners normally.
Evil plan.
Lori mused.
Evil plan, evil plan, evil plan. Bad guys like money, right?
True.
Maybe we could kidnap a rich person for ransom and stuff.
Yep, that's a pretty classic villain plan.
Giovanni replied neutrally. As the minion auditor, he needed to be careful not to get hints.
Okay, great.
Lorelai turned towards Naven.
Hey, Naven.
Wait, don't kidnap David. He's just here.
Big rich CEO of a big rich company, right?
Gosh.
Indeed I am, Naven said, in a tone that one might use to communicate with an oncoming truck.
He immediately realized, I know where this is going.
Nice.
Lori clapped her hands together. Sparkles flew out and she began to glow. A spell worked its way out of her mouth and into the floor.
Garden snaking through the land. Take him now at my command.
She swept her staff in a
You know, in a way, she's the magical girl here.
low arc and a tangle of thick green vines shot up to the floor. They wrangled together and
Naven dies. That'd be so funny.
with giant hand, grabbing Naven.
He'll be fine.
Squeaky toy.
Well, I guess this is happening.
He said. Molly jumped. No, dang it! Lorelai wasn't supposed to use her powers in the middle of the store like that! Or kidnap people like that! She reached out a hand to stop her sister.
Lori!
But it was too late. Before she could reach her, Lorelai raised her staff and a new dream bubble began to sprout from its bunny-eared tip, expanding past
Oh,
Lorelai
gosh.
and swallowing all of them inside a light that made it too bright to see. Before her vision whited out completely, Molly saw the witch sticking her tongue out with a distinctive neener expression, meant just for her.
Of course it is. Why take all of them into the bubble? Bro. Giovanni's plan is never gonna happen. Everything in the world is gonna get in the way of it.
And the world turned to ivory.
And that is the end.
Thank you so much for
Oh.
listening all the way through.
Sorry.
If you enjoyed what
I
you
guess-
heard, please consider picking up the rest of the audiobook from Sound Booth Theater using the...
And you might get one of, you can buy one of those little things that they have. I might be pointing in the wrong direction. These. They're so cool. You could get like the audiobook and like a little cassette kind of thing. I just think that's really cool.
Link in the description below. You can also support the series by backing us on Patreon or purchasing your own copy of the book. Copies are available as physical prints and...
I really love Epithet Erased. I started this series like, all right, it's pretty cool. And then as we got into Prison of Plastic, I've developed a very deep appreciation for all the characters.
ebooks. For more information on where you can get your copy, as well as information on future books, uploads,
Yes.
and where the series is going next, please visit epitheterasedonline.com. Thanks for listening.
Please support them. Support them so much. I will put a link down for like the original video and all that stuff. Check them out. You think it was an accident the bubble was so huge everyone got sucked in? That's understandable. I don't know. It seemed a little intentional when she made like a neener expression, whatever that is. I can tell that it's like a negative one, like a bleh, or like something like that is what I imagine. Also, what I feel like hurt the most during this book is listening and reading it while acknowledging that Molly and Lorelai played together a lot as kids. So, like, man, it's wild that Molly grew up despite being younger, while Lorelai just didn't. She just stayed the same, pretty much. So far, at least. I do sincerely hope that at least by the end of the book, she changes. She at least starts to change, you know? I might buy the book for myself and just read it on my own. It's very nice. But I guess that is the end of the stream. It went a little over time where I normally do. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. I really wanted to finish it today. I'm going to put up a poll for what we should react to next on YouTube. I should have done that already, but womp womp. We'll check that out. Put your comments on what you guys want me to react to next. And yeah. See you guys next time, I guess. Bye-bye. That was my YouTube outro. Lorelai keeps hiding away from any and every problem. I mean, again, when I learned about her original power, I understood exactly why. I would do the exact same thing. I don't like to admit that. I feel like that's like a very negative character flaw to just admit. But if you can just hide from your problems in a bubble of your own creation, a world that you have made for yourself, where you can be the hero and live this fantasy adventure, I would. Like, I think it's sad, but I would. I think it's really wrong. And even if you know it's wrong, it's like hard to resist that temptation. I would think. I don't know. Anyway, that was fun. I hope you guys had fun. Where I guess we'll figure out what we're reacting to tomorrow. Yeah. Tomorrow. But also, she hasn't really talked to anyone in so long. Yeah, that's another thing. I just can't imagine. Her skills is probably atrophied a lot. Alright, but actually, goodbye. Yes. Bye. Outro scene. This is the outro song, do. This is the outro song, do. This is the outro, outro. This is the outro song, do. This is the outro song. This is the outro song, do. This is the outro song. This is the outro song, do. Outro song. Outro song, do. Bye. Bye. I really love Epithet Erased.